So before we start, I want everyone to do two things, only two things. All of you keep your NCERT in front of you. All of you keep your NCERT in front of you. Every single time I read a line, I want you to read the line with me. Even if you're watching the session recorded, I want you to read the lines with me. Read the lines with me. And also keep a sticky note or keep a separate notebook where you can draw the diagrams and write the points which I'm writing. Let's start the class now. Let's start the class. Let's not waste any time. Let's start the class. Okay. Now, every organism who is born on this earth, right? Every organism, the entire life starts with birth. Right? After some time, the organism will grow. Yes, the organism will grow. The organism will become an adult stage. In humans, I'm talking about humans. This is human, right? Because it is human physiology. So human reproduction, adult. And then eventually, the human will die. Now, this entire thing is called as what? This entire thing is called as your life cycle. Or can I say your entire life cycle is between birth to death. The time period between birth to death is called as life cycle. Now, in this entire life cycle, students, in this entire life cycle, there is a period. There's a period where an adult will reproduce. An adult will reproduce. That is what we'll be studying in today's class. What is that reproduction? What is that reproduction? Now, quickly tell me in the chat, what are the two types of reproduction which all of you know about? Broadly speaking, what are the two types of reproduction which you know? Two types of reproduction. All of you know, right? If you broadly classify reproduction, the reproduction, the two main categories are nothing but asexual reproduction, as well as sexual reproduction. Okay. Now, under asexual reproduction, do we have a single parent or two parents? Quickly tell me in the chat. In asexual reproduction, usually there is one parent. Okay. Now, what about the offspring? The offspring here is genetically identical to the parent. It is genetically identical to the parent. Okay, sir, it is genetically identical to the parent. So can I call it a clone? We have a clone formation here. Clone formation. Okay, done. Now, what about sexual reproduction? I'm going to make sure you know this and you never forget it in your entire life. There's a major difference here. Under sexual reproduction, tell me, is there a chance of uniparental? In sexual reproduction, we always learn. all the way from your class 8th, 9th, 10th, even 11th standard that under sexual reproduction, there are two parents. But is there a possibility of one parent? Yes, there is a possibility. I'll tell you. There is a possibility of uniparental as well as biparental. Now, what is this uniparental and biparental, students? Under sexual reproduction, there is a case where only a single parent is there. All of you know the answer. What is it? All of you know the answer. The uniparental is nothing but your bisexual flower. A simple bisexual flower. A bisexual flower like a hibiscus. It is the same parent, a single parent. But does it undergo sexual reproduction? The answer is yes. It undergoes sexual reproduction. Done. So, students, in the case of sexual reproduction, there can be uniparental and there can be biparental, which all of you know. That. The offspring is unique here. The offspring is unique. The offspring is going to be very unique there. Okay, very unique. Now, I want everyone to read the lines of NCERT with me. Any doubt anywhere, you can ask me in the chat. I'm constantly looking at the chat. Even though I'm not looking right now, the eyes are there. Okay. So let's start with the first line of NCERT. It says that, as you are aware, humans are sexually reproducing and viviparous animals, right? So all of you know the meaning of sexual reproduction right now. That is when there is formation of gametes and there is fusion of gametes in the case of men. Now what is this vivipary? Viviparous or vivipary is nothing but when a organism give birth to a young one. In the case of humans, a mother gives birth to a child. A mother does not lay eggs, obviously. A female mother give rise to a young one directly. That's called as your viviparous. The reproductive events in human includes formation of gametes, that is gametogenesis, which includes both spermatogenesis, that is formation of sperms, as well as your oogenesis, which is formation of egg, formation of ovum. That is sperms in the case of males and ovum in the case of female. Transfer of sperms into the female genital tract, that's called as insemination, and fusion of male and female gametes, that is your fertilization, leading to the formation of zygote. Now tell me in the chat, this zygote right here, is it unicellular? Is it going to be unicellular or is it multicellular? Unicellular or multicellular? Quickly in the chat. What is it? Now, what is the next line? This is followed by formation of development of blastocyst. Now, also tell me in the chat, what about blastocyst? Is blastocyst unicellular or is it multicellular? Students, all of you know zygote is the first cell. Zygote is the first cell in the body and it is said to be unicellular in nature. But your blastocyst is multicellular in nature. It's going to be multicellular in nature. Multicellular. Done. Okay. Now, and is attachment of the uterine wall, that is implantation. Okay. Embryonic development, that is gestation, and delivery of the baby called as parturition. All of these events, all of the events which we just spoke, we'll be studying in this chapter. Now, quickly tell me in the chat, is there any doubt in this paragraph? If there is no doubt, I want you to spam red hearts today. Red hearts. After every paragraph, I'm going to ask your clear doubts. If there is no doubt, no problem, right? Now, there are remarkable differences between reproductive events in male and in the female. For example, sperm formation continues even in the old men. See, first difference right here. The first difference right here, in the case of male, the sperm formation continues throughout their life. But the question is the sperm viable, students? Is the sperm viable? Obviously not. The sperm viability is completely decreased. Even the sperm count is decreased. Even the sperm count is going to decrease. Such case is called as oligospermic. Such case is called as what? Oligospermic. Beautiful. Next, but the formation of ovum ceases in the woman around the age of 50 years. And that is called as menopause. Right? It's called as menopause. Done. Now let us examine the male and the female reproductive systems in the humans. Done. Next paragraph, done, students. Next paragraph is also done. Done. Okay. Now, students, I want you to focus. Any doubt there? Ask me quickly. The previous paragraph, I believe there's nothing there, because the main topic is starting right now. Where I want you to focus 100% now. 100%. Now, students, listen to me very carefully. All of you, listen to me very carefully. The entire male reproductive system, can be divided into two separate categories. Right? Two separate categories. Let's divide it. One second. Let's divide it. Okay, done. You can divide the entire male reproductive system into two categories. The first one is called as the primary sex organs. Primary sex organs. The other one is called as what? Secondary sex organs. Secondary sex organs. Secondary sex organs. Okay. Now, for a particular structure to be primary sex organs, it has two criteria. It has two criteria. That is, every primary sex organ, students, every primary sex organ should be able to produce gametes. Should be able to produce gametes, and also the primary sex organ should be able to produce hormones. Should be able to produce hormones. Gametes and hormones. Now, quickly tell me in the chat, which is the primary sex organ in the case of your male reproductive system? In the case of your male reproductive system, or the male reproductive system, the primary sex organ is going to be testis. It's going to be testis. Okay, done. Now, what are the gametes here? The gametes here are called as sperms. Sperms. Okay. Now, what is the hormone? The hormone we are talking about here is testosterone. Testosterone. Now, students, the primary sex organ is always directly involved in gamete production. Directly involvement in gamete production. Direct involvement in gamete production. While your secondary sex organs are indirectly involved. They store and release the gametes. Your secondary sex organs includes your accessory ducts. It includes glands, bulbourethral gland, seminal vesicle gland, Cowper gland, which is also bulbourethral, prostate gland. All of the glands are secondary sex organs. Apart from that, we also have the external genitalia. External genitalia. Clear? So, students, in the case of male reproductive system, we have two types of organs. One is primary sex organ, other one is secondary sex organ. Primary sex organ should be able to produce gametes as well as hormones. Gametes are the sperms, hormone is the testosterone. Primary sex organs are directly involved in gamete production, while your secondary sex organs are indirectly involved. Storage of sperm, transport of the sperm. Transport of sperm is done by whom? Ducts. Then we have glands and external genitalia. Any doubt here? Ask me quickly. Let's see the lines of NCERT now. The male reproductive system is located in the pelvic region. It is the pelvic region. Now tell me, pelvic region is also called as your abdominal region. Yes, abdominal region. In the abdominal region of human males, there are two bones. There are two bones called as coxal bones. Between the two coxal bones, we have the male reproductive system involved. We have the coxal bones like this. Ischium, yes, ischium, isthmus, right? So, those are between the two coxal bones, we have the male reproductive system situated, coxal bones. It includes a pair of testes, that is, pair of testes, along with accessory ducts, glands and external genitalia. Done. Paragraph is done. Any doubt, quickly ask me. Any doubt, quickly ask me in this page. Done. So, the location of your male reproductive system is nothing but your pelvic region. That is between two coxal bones. Abdominal region we can call it. Abdominal region. The next concept is going to be very simple. Next concept is even very simple, students. Very simple zoology. Location of your testis. Where is the testis located? Testis is located in a sac-like structure. Testis is located in a sac-like structure. Sac-like structure. The sac-like structure is called as your scrotum. It's called as scrotum. It's called as scrotum. Okay, sac-like structure called as scrotum. Now why is it in a scrotum? a question might arise, why is it in a scrotum? Why can't testis be as such? Because students, listen to me very carefully. The process of formation of sperm is called as spermatogenesis. For the spermatogenesis to take place, the temperature needs to be 2 to 3 degrees less than the body temperature. So the scrotum is located away from the abdominal cavity here. That is, the testes are situated outside the abdominal cavity. Outside the abdominal cavity in a sac-like structure called as scrotum. Now why? Because the scrotum helps in maintaining the low temperature of the testis. That is, the temperature in the testis. The temperature in the testis should be around 2 to 3 degrees less than body temperature. Then only spermatogenesis will take place. If the temperature is not less, spermatogenesis will not happen. Now I'll ask you one more question. Can I ask you all of you a question now? Simple question. For example, a human male is in a Arctic region, is in a Antarctica. Imagine he's in Antarctica. Okay. He's in Antarctica. Can he produce sperms? The question is, obviously, the temperature is so cold there. The temperature is around 0 degrees Celsius or -1 or -10 degrees Celsius temperature, right? Can that human male produce sperms? Yes or no in the chat quickly. Yes or no? Yes or no in the chat quickly. You'll be like, yes sir. Yes sir, he can produce sperm. Why? Because we humans are regulators. We can regulate the internal body temperature. We are homeostats, and that's why he will be able to produce sperm. Nice. Now what about a human male whose internal body temperature, who has a fever of 105 degree Fahrenheit, right? 105 Fahrenheit. Will he be able to produce sperm? Or will the spermatogenesis will be affected in that case? The answer is yes. In such individuals where the temperature becomes extremely high, the spermatogenesis becomes affected. Clear? Clear all of you? So all of these are simple biology terms we should know. Okay. Now, 2 to 3 degrees lower than the body temperature, that is internal body temperature, necessary for spermatogenesis. In adults, each testis is oval in shape. They will not ask you a NEET examination all this, but let's read it. With a length of about 4 to 5 centimeter and a width of about 2 to 3 centimeter. Okay. Now, the testis is covered by a dense covering. It is covered by a dense covering. Okay, dense covering. That is basically a type of your loose connective tissues. Basically, loose connective tissues. Now, any doubt here? Quickly ask me. Any doubt here? Because I'll be teaching you a little bit of anatomy now. Anatomy of testis. Little bit of anatomy. Let's go inside the testis. What is there? What are the components of a testis? Let's look at it now. Components of a testis. Okay. So, inside the testis, students. Inside each testis, there are around 250 compartments. There are around 250 compartments inside testis. Inside each testis, there are around 250 compartments. Okay. These compartments are called as. Anyone in the chat who can tell me? What are these 250 compartments I'm talking about? 250 compartments. Don't see the answer. It's given here. Don't read. Don't see the answer. The 250 compartments are called as testicular lobules. Inside each testis, there are 250 compartments called as testicular lobules. Now, students. Now. Inside each compartment now, there are 250 compartments. Inside each compartment, there are 1 to 3 highly coiled structures. highly coiled structures. Okay, highly coiled structures. That is called as seminiferous tubule. That is called as seminiferous tubules. Seminiferous tubules. Now I'll give you a simple example. Think there is a big mansion. Inside that big mansion, there are around 250 rooms. Inside each room, there are around 1 to 3 windows. 1 to 3 windows. There is a testis. Inside each testis, there are 250 compartments. The 250 compartments are called as testicular lobules. Inside each testicular lobule, 1 to 3 highly coiled structure called as seminiferous tubules are present. Seminiferous tubules are present, students. Okay. Now let's read what is given in NCERT. Let's read what's given in NCERT. It says that each testis has around 250 compartments. Now tell me, if each testis has 250 compartments, how many will be there in when we combine both the testes? How many will be there? Tell me in the chat quickly. Inside each testis, there are 250 compartments called as testicular lobules. Testicular lobules. Okay. Now, each lobule contains 1 to 3 highly coiled structure called as seminiferous tubule. Inside each lobe, there are seminiferous tubule inside. That is 1 to 3 highly coiled structure called as seminiferous tubule. Done. Now, each seminiferous tubule. Now, next point is very important. Listen to me very carefully. Listen to me very carefully, all of you. Listen to me very carefully. Yes, if this is the testis, this is the testis. Inside the testis, students, inside the testis, there are 2 types of cells. There are 2 types of cells. Okay, let's not call it testis, let's call it okay. This is your seminiferous tubule. This is seminiferous tubule. Okay. Inside each seminiferous tubule, there are 2 types of cells. First, we have certain elongated cells. Called as Sertoli cells. They are called as what? Your Sertoli cells. Sertoli cells. The other cells which we have here, you see, the other cell is called as your male germ cells. Other one is called as male germ cell. This male germ cell is also called as spermatogonia. Spermatogonia. Okay. Now, what is the function? That is more important. What is the function? Listen to me very carefully. Sertoli cells are also called as your nurse cells. They're also called as what? Nurse cells. Now, this Sertoli cells or the nurse cells, they produce something called as ABP. That is androgen binding protein. Androgen binding protein. This ABP, what is the main function of ABP? This ABP will concentrate. It will concentrate all the testosterone. It will concentrate all the testosterone. When it concentrates all the testosterone, it will aid in what? It will aid in spermiogenesis. So, inside the seminiferous tubule, there are two type of cells. The first cell is called as Sertoli cell, also called as nurse cell. What is the main function of that? It produces something called as ABP, androgen binding protein. The androgen binding protein will concentrate all the testosterone, and that will help in spermiogenesis. Now, what is spermiogenesis? It is not spermatogenesis. Spermatogenesis is different. This is spermiogenesis. The main function of spermiogenesis is it is a process in which spermatids are converted to spermatozoa. That we will learn later on. Okay. Your Sertoli cell also produces inhibin. For the that I'll teach you later on. Inhibin. Okay. Now, what is the function of male germ cell? It doesn't have any function. Main function. The male germ cell will eventually undergo spermatogenesis. That is basically meiosis to produce the sperm. Haploid. This is diploid in nature. So your male germ cell, also called as spermatogonia, undergoes spermatogenesis to produce the sperm. Okay. Sertoli cell, androgen binding protein, concentrate all the testosterone, spermiogenesis. Also produces inhibin. Any doubt here? Ask me quickly. Students. Now, this is everything inside. The seminiferous tubule. It is everything inside the seminiferous tubule. Okay. Now, what about the outside? This outer area. Outside of seminiferous tubule. Is called as interstitial space. Its outside area is called as what? Interstitial space. In this interstitial space, there is something called as interstitial cells. The other name of this interstitial cell is nothing but Leydig cells. They are also called as what? Leydig cells. Now, what is the function of Leydig cells? Students? The main function of Leydig cells is nothing but production of. The main function of Leydig cells is production of testosterone. Production of testosterone. Okay. Any doubt here? Quickly ask me in the chat. All of you are making notes, right? Is everyone making notes? This is the ultimate notes you will get, and you don't have to worry about anything. Okay. So what is the function here? See. Now you might be asking me, sir, NCERT says androgen. Students, remember, testosterone is type of androgen only. Okay, it's a type of androgen. Okay. Now, this is your seminiferous tubule. We have the two type of cells inside, that is male germ cell, also called as spermatogonia, which is diploid, which undergoes spermatogenesis to produce the sperm, meiosis. We have Sertoli cells, which produces ABP and inhibin. The main function is spermiogenesis. Okay. Now let's read the NCERT lines. If we covered every single point here. Okay. Let's see. All of you, I want everyone to read with me now. Okay. Each seminiferous tubule is lined on its inside by two types of cells. So inside the seminiferous tubule, there are two types of cells. The first one is called as the male germ cell, also called as spermatogonia, and Sertoli cell. The male germ cell undergoes meiosis, division, finally leading to the sperm formation. Did we do that? Yes. Sperm formation, eventually. Okay. Sperm formation. While Sertoli cells provide nutrition to the germ cell. It provides nutrition to the germ cell, that is in the form of spermiogenesis. Nutrition provides. Also, that's why it's called as nurse cell. Okay. The region outside the seminiferous tubule is called as interstitial space, contains small blood vessels and interstitial cells, also called as your Leydig cells. Leydig cells synthesize and secrete testicular hormone called as your androgen. That is a form of testosterone, androgen, testosterone. And other immunologically competent cells are also produced. What is this now? So we have to add few points here. That is, outside we have other blood vessels here, blood vessels, and it is also producing certain immunological competent cells. Those are nothing but your WBCs, white blood cells. Okay. Other immunological cells are also present. It's not produced, it is present here, that's all. It is present here. WBC is also present. Done. Any doubt in this paragraph? Tell me in the chat quickly right now. Any doubt? Students, we are decoding NCERT. Trust me, after learning with the help of diagram and notes, don't you think the NCERT is super easy? Don't you think the NCERT is so easy right now? Yes. So I want everyone to quickly smash that like button if you are new to the channel, and if you're joined right now, mark your attendance quickly, all of you, and we'll go to the next topic now. Now students, let me decode the diagram for you now. Can we decode the diagram now? Can we completely decode the diagram of male reproductive system now? Completely decode the diagram. Like every single point we'll cover, that you will be able to solve every single question in the world with respect to this. Okay. It should be from NCERT. Out of NCERT, many things are there. Okay. Okay. Now students, let's understand. This is your diagram view of male reproductive system. Okay. Now let's focus on, can you see this? Testicular lobule. Testicular lobule is present inside the testis. Right? How many are there? There are around 250 compartments. Okay. 250 compartments. Done. Now, the sperm which is produced inside the testis. Now, if I ask you a question, where is sperm produced? If I ask you where exactly inside the testis sperm is produced, you should be able to tell. Sir, sperm is produced inside the seminiferous tubule. I'll write it down. Otherwise, you'll forget. All of you will tell me, sir, you never told me, sir. The site of sperm production. Site of sperm production. The site for sperm production here. That is seminiferous tubule. That is going to be your seminiferous tubule, because here, see here, sperms are being produced here. Male germ cell is undergoing. Okay. Don't tell me later on I did not tell you. Okay. So the sperms are being produced inside the seminiferous tubule. Right. Now once the sperm is produced, it is moving out now. Yes. The sperm is produced inside the testis. It is trying to move out into a duct. The first duct which it enters, the sperm enters, is your retate testis. From retate testis, it goes to vasa efferentia. Students, this flow is very important. This flow right now is very important because this year, NEET 2024, there was a question based on this. NEET 2024. Okay. Now, from vasa efferentia, it goes to epididymis. From epididymis to vas deferens. Then it joins here. Okay. Now, you need to understand a few points here. That is, epididymis right here. Epididymis is actually the longest. Epididymis is the longest duct. Don't believe me? Look at the diagram. Don't you think so? Epididymis is completely coiled. It is going to be highly coiled. It's very highly coiled. So if you remove the coiling, it is going to be the longest duct. Okay. And students, remember, epididymis is the location in which the sperms get the motility and also the sperm matures. The maturing of the sperm is complete maturation is happening in the epididymis. Remember that point. Okay. Now, Now from epididymis, from your epididymis, vas deferens. Now from vas deferens, students, from vas deferens, the duct is looping over the urinary bladder or ureters, looping over the urinary bladder, and it is joining right here. Can you see? Joining right here, right here. Now this is a special location. Let me tell you why. Let me tell you why. Okay. Now at this point right here, we call it ejaculatory duct. Ejaculatory duct. Okay. Now why do you call it ejaculatory duct? Because at this point right here, there are two ducts are joining. The two ducts are joining here. The first duct is going to be your vas deferens. Vas deferences. It's going to be your vas deferens. The other duct which is joining here is a duct from your seminal vesicle. From seminal vesicle. Seminal vesicle. Okay. So they have not mentioned here, diagram they have not given you, but you should remember this point right here in which vas deferens is coming from top and one duct is coming from seminal vesicle. They are joining together. The point of attachment or the point where the two ducts meet is called as your ejaculatory duct. It is called as what? Ejaculatory duct. Ejaculatory duct. Okay? Clear to me? Clear everyone? Yes. Now from here, the entire passage is going to be straight. But there are certain glands here. For example, the first gland which you need to talk about here is going to be seminal vesicle gland. Now students, remember this point, first point here. Seminal vesicle is paired. Bulbourethral gland, which is also called as Cowper gland, is also paired. But your prostate gland is going to be completely unpaired. It is single. It is unpaired. Okay, it is going to be unpaired. Done. Unpaired. Okay. Now students, what are the properties? Like, why are the glands present there? Because your seminal vesicle gland, students, your seminal vesicle gland will produce a lot of fructose. It will produce certain alkaline fluid. The secretions of your prostate, the secretion of your seminal vesicle almost make up 70 to 80% of your semen. 70 to 80% of the semen, that is secretions of seminal vesicle. And it is a much more alkaline in nature because as soon as the sperm comes in contact with the vaginal tract, which is much more acidic in nature, the sperm should not die, right? To make sure the lifespan of the sperm is more, the entire semen is going to be alkaline in nature. And the alkalinity is coming from the secretion of seminal vesicle and prostate. Seminal vesicle and prostate. Is that point clear to all of you? Tell me yes or no in the chat. The secretions. And it also produces certain calcium ions, a lot of enzymes, prostaglandins. All that is not given you in NCERT. So do not worry about that. The only thing you should know that is the fructose is coming from seminal vesicle. Lot of enzymes are coming there. Prostaglandins are coming there. That's it. Clear? Clear everyone? The fructose, calcium ions, everything is coming from secretion of seminal vesicle as well as prostate gland, which is unpaired. Now, bulbourethral gland, which is also called as Cowper gland, apart from enzymes and apart from different prostaglandins, it also produces mucus. This mucus is extremely important during intercourse or coitus. Extremely important because it provides lubrication to the penis. Okay. Now students, now. Let's go to the next. That is the glands are done. Glands are done. 3 glands. First, second is going to be your prostate. Third one is going to be bulbourethral gland. 3 different glands. Then we have something called as urethra. Now urethra is called as urogenital tract. Why? Because urethra right here is a common passage. It is a common passage for the release of the semen as well as the release of urine. It is a common passage for semen and urine. It's also called as urogenital tract. Urogenital tract, the entire thing. Urogenital tract. Okay. Then, do you see certain erectile tissues here? Yes. There are certain erectile tissues here. Okay. Corposa, spongiosum. All that is there. Not in your NCERT, so I will not tell you all that. Just remember there are erectile tissues are present here. Erectile tissues are present here, which facilitates insemination. Okay. Now, the last part here, the swollen end of the penis is called as your glans penis. It's called as glans penis, and the urethral opening is called as urethral meatus. Urethral meatus. The urethral opening is called as urethral meatus, glans penis. The entire penis is covered by a loose folded skin called as foreskin. Done. Students, do you realize, did we actually decode the entire diagram? Students? If they ask you any question from this diagram, you should be able to tell. And the only question they usually ask is the entire flow chart here, the entire flow. That is, read a test. First is seminiferous tubule, read a testis, vas afferentia, epididymis, vas deferens. Then we have the ejaculatory duct. Then we have 3 glands: seminal vesicle paired, prostate unpaired, bulbourethra paired. Secretions. They produce secretions. Secretions include fructose, calcium ions, enzymes, prostaglandins, even citric acid. Yes, your prostate gland. The secretions of prostate gland will have citric acid also. Okay, and also remember, all the secretions are going to be alkaline in nature to make sure the sperm lifespan is more. Okay, done. Then we have urethra, which is called as urogenital tract, a common passage for urine and semen release. The swollen end of the penis is called as glans penis. The urethral opening is called as urethral meatus. Entire thing is covered by a loose skin, is called as foreskin. Do you realize? We decoded the diagram now. Now it's time to read the NCERT. Yes. Let's read. What is given here? The male accessory ducts include reed testis, vas afferentia, epididymis, and vas deferens. The seminiferous tubule of testis open into the vas afferentia through reed testis. So technically, which is coming first? The first one is going to be reed testis. Then it is going to be vas afferentia, because seminiferous tubule is opening into vas afferentia through reed testis. So reed testis is going to come first. Okay. The vas afferentia leaves the testis and open into epididymis, the third one, located along the posterior side of the testis. The epididymis leads to vas deferens that ascends to the abdomen and loops over the urinary bladder. We discussed that, loops over the urinary bladder, right? It receives a duct from your seminal vesicle and opens into urethra called as ejaculatory duct. Told you, one duct is going to be from your seminal vesicle. The other duct is coming from where? The other duct is vas deferens plus seminal vesicle duct. Together they are called as ejaculatory duct here. These ducts store and transport. See, function of your secondary sex organs: store and transport the sperm from testis to the outside through urethra. That is common tract, urogenital tract, right? The urethra originates from the urinary bladder and extends through the penis to the external opening called as urethral meatus. Students, tell me any doubt in this paragraph right now. I believe every single line should be clear to you with the help of decoding with the diagram, right? Yes? Clear, everyone? Hello. Is this point clear to you? If it is clear, write out in the chat, because I would want to know the indication if everything is clear, right? This right here is the section of seminiferous tubule. Seminiferous tubule on the inside, can you see? On the inside is lined by two type of cells. One is called as spermatogonia, also called as male germ cell. What I'm writing here, male germ cell. Spermatogonia, male germ cell. Then spermatozoa, which is nothing but sperm. Then Sertoli cells, that is the nurse cells. Nurse cells. Then interstitial cells, that is Leydig cells. Leydig cells. Done. Done. Yes. Easy, right? So easy. So easy this is. That's so easy. Now, the penis is the male external genitalia, which we discussed already. It is made up of special tissues that help in erection of the penis, that is the erectile tissues, to facilitate insemination. The enlarged end of the penis is called as glans penis, covered by loose skin called as foreskin, also called as prepuce. The male axillary glands includes seminal vesicle, prostate, see, paired. There's nothing given, A, so not paired, and paired bulbourethral gland. Secretions of the glands constitute the seminal plasma. So what is seminal plasma? Seminal plasma is nothing but secretions of seminal vesicle plus prostate plus bulbourethral gland. The secretions of all the three glands, they make up the seminal plasma. Seminal plasma. Now later on you'll understand. Later on when you study semen, you'll understand seminal plasma plus the sperm. That makes up the semen. Done. That makes up the semen. Done. See, so such easy things they are given, such easily they are given. See here, which is rich in fructose. I told you, fructose is coming from your seminal vesicle, calcium, and certain enzymes. The secretions of bulbourethral gland also help in lubrication of penis because it produces mucus. Bulbourethral gland produces mucus. Done. Any doubt in this paragraph? Quickly tell me in the chat. Any doubt in this paragraph? Now, if there is no paragraph, if there's no doubt, can we solve some questions now? So please write glands and accept ducts and external genitalia, students. See, there are three glands. Here. That's only three glands. First gland is going to be your seminal vesicle, first gland, prostate, second gland, bulbourethral, three gland. Only three glands. Ducts we learned here. Ducts 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 ducts, 3 glands, 1 external genitalia. That's penis. That's all. Right? Easy peasy, biryani tasty. Exactly. Look at the question now. The shared terminal duct of reproductive and urinary system in the human male is, which is the shared duct? Quickly in the chat, I'll give you 5 seconds to answer. 5, 4, 3, 2, and finally 1. That is going to be urethra. What is the other name of urethra, students? What is the other name of urethra? It is also called as urogenital tract. Right? Next question. The testes in humans are situated outside the abdominal cavity inside a pouch called a scrotum. The purpose served is for, what is the purpose? Why the testis is situated outside the abdominal cavity in a pouch-like structure called a scrotum? Why? What could be the reason, students? What could be the reason? 7 crore ka question. Escaping any possible compression by the visceral organs, providing more space for growth of epidermis, provides a secondary sexual feature for exhibiting the male sex, maintaining the scrotal temperature lower than the internal body temperature so that spermatogenesis can take place. So obviously option number 4. Option number 4. At puberty, the human male develops secondary sexual characteristics. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. At puberty, there is a decrease in secretion of testosterone in male. It's a AR question. Read the AR and read the AR is correct. Read the assertion properly. Read the assertion properly. Option number 1 or 2 or 3 or 4. What is the answer? What is the answer, Varun? What is the answer, Shriya? Sumukha, Sominash, Kavya, Meghana, Ravindrani, I see Rudranath. All of these are regular students. So nice to see regular students, no? Naina. Obviously, students, obviously, if the assertion is true, but the reason is false. Why the reason is false, students? Why the reason is false? Because testosterone will not decrease, testosterone will increase, not decrease. Good. Next question. How many seminiferous tubules will be there per testicular lobule? Per testicular lobule, how many seminiferous tubule? How many seminiferous tubule? Now students, all of these questions are NEET PYQs. They are NEET PYQ questions. NEET PYQ questions. I am not making them up. And students, if you want the notes for this class, or if you have any doubt you want to ask after the class, where do you find it? Where do you ask? On the Telegram channel. That is Basavaraj Sir Biology. On this Telegram channel, all the notes, updates, everything will be available. Okay? Everything will be available. Easy. 1 to 3. 1 to 3. Yes. 1 to 3. Now, Leydig cells are present in seminiferous tubule. Are they present inside the seminiferal tubules, outside the seminiferal tubules, scrotal wall, with the male germ cell? With the male germ cell. What is the answer? Take 10 seconds and answer. Take 10 seconds. Very easy. Very easy question. Obviously, Leydig cells are present in also called as interstitial cells. They are also called as interstitial cells. Leydig cells are called as interstitial cells. They are present outside the seminiferous tubule. They are present outside the seminiferous tubule. Inside the seminiferous tubule, you only have the nurse cells, Sertoli cells, as well as male germ cell, Outside we have the Leydig cells. Done. Next question. Each seminiferous tubule is lined on its inside by. Inside the seminiferous tubule, what do we have? I just now told the answer. Spermatogonia, primary spermatocytes, Sertoli cells, both 1 and 3. And remember students, spermatogonia is also called as what? Male germ cell. Male germ cell. Sir, when physics class for class 11th, I have to ask Shreya sir for that. I have to ask Shreya sir for it. I did not know. I have to ask Shreya sir. I'll ask Shreya sir and I'll tell you. What's there? Okay. So obviously it's going to be both. Okay, the pen dropped. Obviously it's going to be both 1 and 3, right? 1 and 3. Now, what causes the onset of puberty in males? I have not taught you this concept right now. I will teach you this concept and then I'll make you solve this. Okay. All of you tell me your marks if you remember. How many marks did you get till now? How many marks did you get till now if you remember? I'll teach you this concept first. Listen to me very carefully. Students. First, we have the hypothalamus. Hypothalamus. Okay. Hypothalamus will stimulate GnRH, gonadotropin releasing hormone. It will in turn stimulate anterior pituitary. Anterior pituitary will stimulate FSH and LH. FSH, F for S. So 1 second, students. Let me change the color so it'll be easy for S for Sertoli cells. Sertoli cells. It will stimulate the secretion of Sertoli cells. L for Leydig cells. Leydig cells. Stimulates Leydig cells. Leydig cells will produce what? Leydig cells will produce your androgen, that is testosterone. Androgen, that is the testosterone. Now what does Sertoli cells will do? Sertoli cells will produce antigen binding, androgen binding protein, which will concentrate all the testosterone, and its main function is in spermiogenesis. Main function is in spermiogenesis. Also provides the nutrition. Done. Done. Now, tell me the answer now. What causes the onset of puberty in males? How is the entire process starting from? Where is it starting from? Increase in secretion of testosterone by the testes, decrease in the secretion of testosterone by testes, increase in secretion of GnRH by hypothalamus, decrease in secretion of GnRH by hypothalamus. What is the answer now? Tell me. Yes, that is good. It's good to attend regular classes. Good to attend regular classes. What is the answer now? Obviously, option number 3. Now, students, some of you are asking what is FSH? FSH is nothing but follicular stimulating hormone. How do you remember? FSH works on S, works on Sertoli cells. What is LH? Luteinizing hormone. Luteinizing hormone works on Leydig cells. Easy. Now all of you know the answer, right? Now students, with that, male reproductive system is done and dusted. I don't think so any doubt should be there. We have dealt in very detail. I'm going very detailed so that all of you can, I'm going slow and detailed because I want to know if all of you are on the same page, you're understanding every line of NCERT, you're enjoying the process and everything, right? Okay. Now students, let me know in the chat if we can start with female reproductive system. It's very easy again. It's very easy. Write the notes with me. Understand the lines of NCERT. No one can stop you from scoring out of out in biology. No one can score. Right? Now, let's start with female reproductive system now. Female reproductive system. Now, in the case of female reproductive system, again we have a simple bifurcation. That is primary sex organs, primary sex organ, again secondary sex organ. The primary sex organ should be able to do what? The primary sex organ should be able to produce gametes. The primary sex organ should be able to produce hormones. Okay. Now, the primary sex organ here is ovaries. The gamete here is the egg or ooted or ovum, call it anything. The hormone here is progesterone as well as estrogen. The secondary sex organs includes oviduct, uterus, cervix, vagina, right? As well as the external genitalia. That is going to be the entire primary sex organs and secondary sex organs, right? Primary sex organs and secondary sex organs. Easy, very easy. Let's read the lines of NCERT, students. Students, if you are new to the channel, quickly smash that like button, share the video to your friends, and also subscribe to the channel, because it is very crucial for us to make sure that every single student gets the quality education they deserve, right? Now, the female reproductive system consists of a pair of ovaries. So how many ovaries are there? There's a pair of ovaries. Along with a pair of oviduct. Oviduct is present in two. Both two are there. Uterus, single. Cervix and vagina, single. Okay. And the external genitalia, that's called as vulva. External genitalia is called as vulva. Located in the pelvic region, again. Located in the pelvic region, that is between the pelvic girdles. Right. These parts of the system, along with the pair of mammary glands, are integrated structurally and functionally to support the process of ovulation, that is release of egg, fertilization, pregnancy, birth and child care. That is going to be the entire thing. Now, ovaries are the primary female sex organ. See, did we write that? Yes, we wrote that. That produces the female gamete, that the ovum. This and several steroidal hormones, ovarian hormones, that is progesterone as well as estrogen. Now tell me in the chat. I'll check your zoology now. I'll check your zoology knowledge and tell you to Gopika ma'am. Okay. Steroidal hormones, are they lipid soluble or they water soluble? Tell me in the chat. Are they lipid soluble or are they water soluble? Now, the ovaries are located on each side of the lower abdomen. Each ovary is about they'll not ask you this, 2 to 4 centimeter, and connected, this is very important, and connected to the pelvic wall and uterus by ligaments. So ovaries are connected to the uterus with the help of ligaments. Each ovary is covered by a thin. Okay, let's draw the structure of ovary. Now. Let's draw the structure of ovary. Okay, we have the structure of ovary here. The outer layer, students, the outer layer of the ovary is called as epithelium. Mentioned somewhere, right? It is given somewhere, like there. Epithelium. Okay. Outer layer is called as epithelium. The inner part is called as stroma. Inner part is called as inner part. Ovarian stroma. But students, this stroma is divided into two parts. The stroma is divided into two parts. Can you see this outer part here? Outer part. The outer part of the stroma is called as outer cortex. The outer cortex's main function is producing, ovarian follicles. That is primary follicle, secondary follicle, tertiary follicle, Graafian follicle. All that is produced in the cortex, outer cortex. The inner part is called as inner medulla. Here, inner part. Inner part is called as inner medulla. It mainly has your blood vessels, nerve connective tissues, and everything. Okay, lymphatic vessels, blood vessels, lymphatic vessels, as well as your nerves. This is the structure of ovary. Simple structure they have given you. Okay. Each ovary is covered by a thin epithelium which encloses the ovarian stroma. Ovarian stroma on the inside, outside is epithelium. The stroma is divided into two zones. The peripheral cortex, also called as outer cortex, peripheral cortex, and the inner medulla. Inside is inner medulla. Done. Any doubt here? Quickly ask me. Yes, it is lipid soluble. Nice. Lipid soluble. All of you remember. All of you are nice zoology, you know. Okay. Any doubt here? Done. Done. Now students, this is the structure of your, one of the structures of the female reproductive system. But right now I will teach the entire vagina, cervix and all with the help of other diagram. But let's focus on this part here. This part right here. The external genitalia, students, external genitalia of the female reproductive system is called as vulva. And all of these are parts of vulva. All of these are parts of vulva here. That is clitoris, which is the tiny finger-like structure which has a lot of nerve endings. Labia minora, that is the fleshy foldings inside the labia majora. We have labia majora inside labia minora. Then vaginal orifice, which is the vaginal opening. Vaginal opening is called as vaginal orifice. Okay, vaginal orifice. Apart from that, it is also called as mons pubis, which is not mentioned here. Mons pubis is basically cushion of fatty tissue which has the skin and pubic hair. Okay. Now, this is the main structure. This is the main structure. Now, students, just how we decoded the male reproductive structure, can we also decode this structure right now? Can we decode the entire structure now? Tell me yes or no in the chat. Can we completely decode the structure now? Can we start? Let's completely decode the structure right now. Now, let's start with the ovaries. Let's start with the ovaries. Ovaries internal structure, you know, we just now learned internal structure of ovary. The ovaries are attached to the uterus. The attachment, can you see this part here? Attached to the uterus with the help of ligaments. With the help of ligaments. Okay, ligaments are there. Like mesovarium ligaments and all. Mesovarium ligaments, but not in a syllabus. Just learn ligaments word, that's all. Here, ligaments. Now, this ovary right here. The ovary right here will produce one egg. Every month, alternatingly, the ovary will produce the egg, also called as secondary oocyte. Okay, the egg is there. Egg is here. The egg is picked up by. The egg is picked up by a finger-like structure. The finger-like structure is called as fimbriae. The finger-like structure is called as fimbriae. The fimbriae will pick up the egg, and the egg will enter into the fallopian tube with the help of a small hole here. Small opening called as ostia. The small opening called as ostia through which the egg is entering. Now the egg will enter into a funnel-shaped structure. A funnel-shaped structure called as infundibulum. Infundibulum is the funnel-shaped structure. Then we have a much more wider area called as ampulla, which is a much more wider area called as ampulla. And it is the same location in which fertilization takes place. So if someone asks you where does the fertilization takes place in the case of female reproductive system, it is supposed to be ampulla, where the fertilization takes place. Before it was ampullary isthmus junction, it has been changed into ampulla now. Ampulla. Ampulla is a much more wider part. Then we have much more narrow part called as isthmus. Much more narrow part called as isthmus region. Okay. The secondary oocyte is traveling now. The secondary oocyte, if it undergoes fertilization, then it will get divided. Zygote formation will happen. Zygote will divide. Blastocyst will happen. The implantation of blastocyst will happen on the uterus, walls of the uterus. This is where the implantation will happen. Implantation, and that's called as uterus. Uterus is also called as womb. It's also called as womb and hysteria. Womb. Also called as womb here. Okay. Also called as womb. Womb. Then we have uterine cavity here. Now, if you look at the layers, of the uterus, it is mainly divided into three parts. First, we have the perimetrium, which is the outermost layer, outermost very thin layer called as perimetrium. Then we have middle layer called as myometrium. Which is made up of thick, smooth muscle cells. Okay, made up of smooth muscle cells. Okay, thick layer. And it is the same layer which undergoes contraction during childbirth. Contraction during childbirth. That is going to be your myometrium. The innermost layer is called as endometrium. The endometrium is glandular. It is going to be glandular in nature, glandular. And it is the same endometrium which undergoes cyclic changes every month. Endometrium undergoes cyclic changes every month. Cyclic changes every month. Cyclic changes. That is going to be your different layers of uterus. Now, uterus opens into vagina. Words are very important. Uterus opens into vagina through cervix. And the cervix has a canal called as cervical canal. The canal of cervix is called as cervical canal. Now, cervix plus vagina. Let me write here. Let me write somewhere here separately. That is cervical canal plus vagina plus the vagina, they make up the birth canal. Through which the baby is born. Birth canal through which the baby is born. Yes, done. That is going to be decoding. That is your decoding. Done. Now, one more question arises. The egg which is entering here. How is the egg moving? How is the egg able to move? Does it have legs? Tell me. Does it have legs now? The egg has legs to run and go? No. Doesn't have legs. How does it move then? It moves because of the ciliated columnar epithelial cells here. Here, inside the fallopian tube, there are columnar epithelial cells which facilitates ciliated movement inside the oviduct. Oviduct is also called as fallopian tube. Oviduct or fallopian tube. And it has three parts: infundibulum, ampulla and isthmus. Now, not amoeboid movement, it is ciliated movement. Okay, like how it's seen in paramecia, protozoans, paramecia type. Okay. Let's read the NCERT line. Let's see if you have covered every single line of NCERT. The oviduct or fallopian tube, uterus and vagina constitute the female aqueducts. Each fallopian tube is around 10 to, they'll not ask you this, 20 centimeter long and extends from the periphery to the periphery of each ovary to the uterus. The part closer to the ovary is called as funnel-shaped infundibulum. Funnel-shaped, we wrote it. Funnel-shaped infundibulum. The edge of the infundibulum possesses finger-like projections called as fimbriae. Okay, which help in collection of ovum after ovulation. Okay, the infundibulum leads to the wider area called as ampulla. Okay, the last part of the oviduct is isthmus, has narrow lumen and joins to the uterus. Much more narrow lumen joins the uterus. That is going to be isthmus, narrow region which joins the uterus. Any doubt here? Ask me quickly, students. You are studying every single line of NCERT. We are not even missing a single line. Every single line of NCERT we are decoding, understanding, making sure that we will be able to solve any question which comes from here. Any question. Let it be any question. Right? See here, the uterus is single and it is also called as womb. We discussed that. Done. The shape of the uterus is inverted pear. That is very important. See here. The shape of the uterus is like inverted pear. Right here. This side here. Inverted pear shape. You see? It is like an inverted pear. The pear looks like this, right? Somewhere. Pear looks like this, right? Something, right? Inverted pear shape. It's a fruit. Okay. Now, it is supported by ligaments attached to the pelvic walls. The uterus opens into vagina through a narrow cervix. The cavity of the cervix is called as cervical canal. We discussed that, which along with vagina forms the birth canal. Cervical canal plus vagina forms the birth canal, right? The walls of the uterus has three layer tissue. The external outer thin layer is called as perimetrium. Middle layer made up of smooth muscle called as myometrium. The inner glandular layer is called as endometrium. Discussed. Everything we discussed. Everything we discussed. Okay. Yes, removal of uterus is called a hysterectomy. Okay. That lies in the uterine cavity. The endometrium undergoes cyclic changes during the menstrual cycle, while myometrium exhibits strong contraction during the childbirth, birth of a child. Right? Strong contraction during childbirth, cyclic changes, glandular, thick, smooth muscles, thin external layer. Funnel shaped uterine duct, every single point, students, every single point we have been covering. The last part here. The female external genitalia includes mons pubis, labia majora and labia minora, hymen, clitoris. The mons pubis is a cushion, I told you. Mons pubis is a cushion of fatty tissue covered by skin and pubic hair. The labia majora are the fleshy folded tissue which extends down, which is extending down from the mons pubis and surrounding the vaginal opening. So your labia majora is completely covering the vaginal opening. Inside labia majora there is labia minora inside. Labia minora, right? Labia minora are paired folds of tissue under the labia majora. See, under labia majora. The opening of vagina is often covered by partially by a membrane called as hymen. The clitoris is a tiny finger-like structure which lies at the upper junction of two labia minora. So at the upper junction of labia minora, not majora, at the upper junction of labia minora, clitoris is there. And friends, let me tell you, similarly how penis has erectile tissues, clitoris also has erectile tissues. Clitoris also has erectile tissues. That is very important point to be noted. Okay. Now let me tell you two things here. Two main things. The first point here is, which you should remember is, tell me in the chat, what was that common passage in the case of male reproductive system which is called as urogenital tract, which is a common passage for release of sperm as well as urine? What is it called? What is it called as? Tell me in the chat quickly. Now what is also over here? The common passage is called as urethra. There was a common passage there. But in the case of female reproductive system, there is no common passage. That's right. There are actually there are two holes here, two openings here. The first opening is called as vaginal opening here. Vaginal opening, the first opening called as vaginal opening, and the second opening is called as urethral opening, through which urine is passed. Are you understanding? In the case of female reproductive tract, there are two different openings for one for release of urine, one for release of egg. That is during menstrual cycle, which opens, or the childbirth, you can say. Okay, that is the first main point here. Different passage. The second main point here is going to be a thin membrane layer called as hymen, and there are a lot of myths regarding hymen, that the sexual experience of a female can be determined by presence or absence of hymen. That is completely false. Because a lot of females who has never experienced sexual experience, still there is a chance that hymen layer might be broken because of many activities. Or there is also a case, even though the female has experienced the sexual experience, the hymen layer still might be persistent. Yes, it might be persistent in many cases also. So it is not an indication of sexual experience, that hymen layer, right? However, it can also be broken for a sudden fall, joint, insertion of vaginal tampons, active participation in some sports like horseback riding, cycling, etc. Some women, the hymen persists even after the coitus. See, even after the coitus, it is going to be there, right? In fact, the presence or absence of hymen is not an indicator of your virginity or sexual experience. Clear? Done. Students, with that, we are almost coming towards the end of the reproductive structures. The other reproductive structures in the case of female is going to be the mammary glands. I'll tell you the two main points which you need to focus here, apart from that they will never ask you any question. Only two main points here. The first thing you need to remember here is something called as lactiferous duct, through which the, no, where is it? Alveoli is not given here, alveoli. Okay, alveoli is not given, but this mammary lobes, just remember mammary lobes, I'll tell you why. Mammary lobes. Let's read the NCERT, it's very easy to understand, there's nothing complicated here. The functional mammary gland is a characteristic of all female mammals without any exception. Every single mammal, female mammal will have functional mammary glands, including platypus. Even though platypus has so many features with respect to your reptiles and everything, it is still placed under mammals because of functional mammary glands. Right? Our paired structure called as breast that contains glandular tissues and variable amount of fat. The glandular tissues of each breast is divided into around 15 to 20 mammary lobes. So inside each mammary gland there is around 15 to 20 mammary lobes. That you should remember. Next point you should remember is something called as alveoli. The containing clusters of cells called as alveoli. So inside the mammary lobes there is something called as alveoli. And the alveoli has two main functions. The alveoli has two main functions. The first main function is secretion of milk, and the second main function is storage of milk in the lumen. I'll repeat again. Inside the mammary lobe there is something called as alveoli, and the alveoli has two main functions. The first function is what, students? The first function is secretion of milk. Second function is storage of milk in the lumen. See, the cells of the alveoli secrete milk which is stored in the cavity lumen of the alveoli. Now students, the alveoli open. So last few lines I'm going to make a flow chart. Learn this flow chart. That's the only thing they'll ask you. So alveoli, from alveoli the milk is sent to the mammary tubules. From mammary tubules the milk is transferred to mammary duct. Where is it? Mammary tubules of each lobe to form mammary duct. From mammary duct to ampulla, mammary ampulla. Mammary ampulla, right? Mammary ampulla. From mammary ampulla, the milk is sent next to the lactiferous duct. Now finally, from lactiferous duct, the milk is sent to the nipples. Students, just learn this flow chart and you're done with mammary glands. There's nothing extra here. Learn this. Learn this entire flow chart. Learn the entire flow chart and you're sorted. Okay? That is alveoli, mammary tubules, mammary duct, mammary ampulla, lactiferous duct and nipples. That is the entire flow chart of the transfer of milk. Done? Students, with that, the first two topics for today are done. And dusted. And I believe there should be no doubt till now, right? Everything has been super easy, super smooth. Tell me yes or no in the chat. Everything has been a super easy, super smooth journey till now. Tell me. It's been super smooth and super smooth journey, right? Yes. Are you enjoying the session? Tell me in the chat. Are you able to understand? Are you making notes? Are you able to follow what I'm saying? Yes. Are you making your notes? Or are you just listening to my voice, looking at my face? Huh? You're making notes, right, students? Notes are going to be important. See, students, all of these notes will be available. All of these notes will be available on a Telegram channel. That is, all the notes will be available on Telegram channel. And if you have any doubts, you can always contact me also here. If you have any doubt, you can also contact me here. Now, we are going towards the end of today's class now. End of today's class. But it's a long journey again. It's a long journey. Now, I want you to, all of you, drink some water. I want everyone to drink some water. I will also drink some water. In exactly 1 minute, we'll be back. And after that 1 minute, students, after the 1 minute, I want you to look out. See, you have been studying from past 1.5 hours. I want you to look away from the screen for just for 1 minute. Just look away from the screen and close your eyes and rub your eyes now. Close your eyes, rub your eyes like this. Gently rub your eyes. Gently, gently. Relax your eyes. Okay. Drink some water. And after that, I want your ultimate focus. Will I get that? Tell me. Will I get that? Okay. So what is your, for the next 1 minute, just 1 minute, just do it for 1 minute exercise, because I don't want you to strain your eyes. Just for 1 minute, look away from the screen, gently rub your eyes, drink some water, refresh your mind, and we will start the last part of the class, that is gametogenesis. Do that now, all of you. Do that. It is very important to take care of yourself when you're learning. Okay. And meanwhile, in 1 minute, I will just go fill my water bottle and come. I'll just fill my glass and come. Okay. In 1 minute. And then we will start with gametogenesis. Recharge yourself. Recharge yourself. Done? Tell me yes or no in the chat. Can we start with the last part of the class now? Students, and students, let me tell me in the chat how many of you attended my yesterday's class, mitosis. That was one of the most beautiful class I've ever taken, mitosis. And I saw the comments. I'm really happy with the comments, and thank you so much. Thank you so much for the comments and everything. See, when we teach here for such a long time, standing here, drinking a little bit of water and everything, the only thing which we ask in written is, first thing is your dedication. The only thing which we ask here is you be consistent. That will make us more happy than anything else. And all of you are with me here, studying from past 1.5 hours religiously. Yes, religiously. Studying with me, right? And it makes me happy. It makes me happy. So, and also, it is also very important that all of you let us know in the comment section that how do you feel about the classes, right? It is very important. Let me tell you why. There are two main reasons. The first thing is that the many students are not aware of what we are doing here, And when before anyone sees a video, everyone will look for the comments. And obviously, if the comments are good, then they will watch the lecture and then they will see the lecture. So I want everyone to comment in today's video, how do you feel about the lecture? You can be honest. Let me know in the comment section and then they will follow. And also YouTube algorithm also works like that. If you comment on the video and like the video, YouTube will push it. YouTube will push it. Otherwise, whatever class we do here, it will never reach to a much more larger group of students, right? And that is our goal here. The main goal of YouTube is to make sure that whatever we teach here reaches to the many students as possible, because many students cannot afford to pay and join batches and everything. So it is very important that you also support us in this journey where we are teaching for thousands of students and everyone gets benefit from it, right? It is very important to that. Now students, can we start with the spermatogenesis? All of you open your books now. All of you open your books. Quickly in the chat, all of you open your books. I'm gonna write everything for you. So I want every one of you to write down spermatogenesis, and after that you will never have any doubt in your life. You will never have any doubt in your life regarding spermatogenesis or oogenesis. Okay. So let's start with a simple. Everything's gonna start with very simple. It's very simple biology. Okay. Spermatogenesis. Let's have the title. Spermatogenesis. Okay, spermatogenesis. Students, in the case of males, spermatogenesis starts at the puberty. So during puberty, what happens is, during puberty, there is something called as spermatogonia. Spermatogonia. The spermatogonia, also called as the male germ cell. Male germ cell. This male germ cell undergoes mitosis. This male germ cell undergoes mitosis and produces, this is the male germ cell. Male germ cell which is diploid in nature. The male germ cell undergoes mitosis and produce many of them. Many of them. Okay, many are there. Everything is 2-1. Now one such spermatogonia grows in size. It grows in size. And we call it primary spermatocyte. Okay. Now this primary spermatocyte will undergo meiosis 1. That is very important to write. Meiosis 1. Now tell me, every single time there's a meiosis, will there be change in ploidy? This primary spermatocyte, which is diploid in nature, will there be a change in ploidy? Yes, there will be change in ploidy. We'll end up getting two cells. Both are haploid. That is, this is going to be 22 plus X. This is going to be 22 plus Y. Okay, 22 plus Y. 22 plus X, 22 plus Y. And we call this secondary spermatocyte. This is the secondary spermatocyte. Now this secondary spermatocyte undergoes meiosis 2. One second. Can I write here, students? Can I write here? Can we continue this part here now? Undergoes meiosis 2. Obviously, meiosis has two parts, right? Meiosis 1 and meiosis 2. It undergoes meiosis 2. When this particular secondary spermatocyte undergoes meiosis 2, it produces 4 haploid gametes. 22 plus X. This is 22 plus Y. These haploid gametes right here, these haploid gametes right here are called as spermatids. They're called as spermatids. Now, these spermatids right here, students, these spermatids right here, do they look like sperms? Spermatids right here, do they look like the motetale there? This motetale, do they look like spermatids? No, they don't look like sperms. So they have to undergo a separate process. They have to undergo a separate process now, called as spermiogenesis. Called as spermiogenesis. 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 When spermatids undergo spermiogenesis, they end up producing sperms. They get converted to sperms. Okay? 4 sperms are produced. Right, done. Now these sperms, are they liberated as such? No. The head of the sperm gets embedded in the Sertoli cell. The head of the sperm gets embedded in the Sertoli cell. Head embedded in Sertoli cell. Head in Sertoli cell. Sertoli cell. Now, from the Sertoli cells, when the sperms are released, the release of sperm from Sertoli cells, release of sperm from Sertoli cells. The release of sperm from the Sertoli cell is called as what? It is called as spermiation. It is called as spermiation. Spermiation. Called as spermiation. So let me recap it for you. It's going to be very easy to understand. Let me recap the entire thing for you now. Let me recap. First we have the spermatogonia, also called as male germ cell, which undergoes mitosis and produces lots of them. Grows, and one such spermatogonia which grows is called as your primary spermatocyte. We have the primary spermatocyte. Okay. Now this primary spermatocyte undergoes meiosis 1 to produce the secondary spermatocyte. Okay. We have the secondary spermatocyte now. Now this secondary spermatocyte, which is also haploid now, undergoes meiosis 2. Once it undergoes meiosis 2, it produces 4 haploid gametes. These haploid gametes are called as spermatids. They're called as spermatids. Okay, called as spermatids. Now, these spermatids undergo a process called as spermiogenesis. They undergo a process called as spermiogenesis. In the process of spermiogenesis, spermatids are converted to spermatozoa. This right here is spermatozoa. The spermatozoa is also called as what? Also called as sperm. This is spermatozoa sperm right here. Now the sperms are not released as such. The sperm's head, the head of the sperm gets embedded inside the Sertoli cell. Now release of the sperm from the Sertoli cell is called as what? Spermiation. The end of it. Spermiation. And that is the end of spermatogenesis. That's all. Tell me, is it difficult or easy now? Tell me. Any confusion here? With the help of flow chart, you are able to understand it in such an easy manner, That's all. Done. You understand? Done. Any doubt here? Quickly ask me. Did all of you write down? Also? Tell me, did all of you write down also? It is important to make these notes. If you read, just read it from outside. You'll not understand. From outside. I want you to write it down. write it down and then understand every single point there. Understood, all of you? See this is spermatogenesis, done and dusted. Let's read the lines of NCERT. Read the lines of NCERT now. The primary sex organ. See, I've told you always, the primary sex organ from the starting. The primary sex organ. The testis in the males and the ovaries in the female produces the gametes. The sperm and the ovum respectively, by the process called as gametogenesis. In testis, the immature male germ cell, also called as spermatogonia, produces sperm by spermatogenesis. The beginning at puberty, I told you. When does the male spermatogenesis start? It starts at puberty. The spermatogenesis, a spermatogonium present on the inside wall of seminiferous tubule, multiplies by mitosis. Multiplies by mitosis. Starting is mitosis. Division and increase the number. Each spermatogonia is diploid and contains 46 chromosomes. So each spermatogonia is diploid and it contains 46 chromosomes. Okay. Some of the spermatogonia called as primary spermatocyte periodically undergoes meiosis. So primary spermatocyte, students, primary spermatocyte is undergoing meiosis. A primary spermatocyte completes the first meiotic division, reduction division, leading to the formation of two equal haploid cells called as secondary spermatocyte. Finishes the first meiotic division, two equal haploid secondary spermatocyte, line to line, which have only 23 chromosomes, 22 plus X or 22 plus Y, 23 chromosomes. Okay. The 23 chromosomes each. The secondary spermatocyte undergoes the second meiotic division to produce the 4 equal haploid spermatids. Undergoes meiosis 2 to produce 4 equal spermatids. Such easy concept. Okay. The spermatids are transformed into spermatozoa by the process of spermiogenesis. The spermatids are transferred into spermatozoa by the process of spermiogenesis. Done. After spermiogenesis, the sperm head becomes embedded in the Sertoli cells and the final release from the seminiferous tubule by the process of spermiation. It should be, one second, seminiferous tubule. From the seminiferous tubule is called as spermiation. Every single line of NCERT in 2 lines of pages of your NCERT in one complete diagram. Done. See here, we have spermatogonia, Sertoli cells, head is getting embedded here, primary spermatocyte, secondary spermatocyte, spermatid, spermatozoa. Now can I ask you all of a question? Tell me the ploidy of secondary spermatocyte. What is the ploidy? What is the end condition of your secondary spermatocyte? Ploidy of secondary spermatocyte. Haploid or diploid? Is it going to be haploid or is it going to be diploid? Obviously, your secondary spermatocyte is a result of meiosis 1. So it is going to be haploid in nature. Clear? It's going to be haploid in nature. Now what about primary spermatocyte? Is it haploid or diploid? Now tell me. Primary spermatocyte. Is it haploid or diploid? Primary spermatocyte. Is it haploid or diploid? Quickly in the chat. We have already done this, students. We have already done this. Spermatogenesis starts at the age of puberty due to the increased levels of GnRH. Did we do this in the starting? I told you. We made a flow chart. GnRH, LH, FSH hormone. This, if you recall, the hypothalamic hormone, that increases the act of GnRH, which acts on anti-respiratory gland and stimulates the secretion of two glands, gonadotropins. Luteinizing hormone LH, L acts on Leydig cells, and follicle stimulating hormone S acts on Sertoli cells. The LH acts on Leydig cells and stimulates the androgen, synthesis of your secretion of androgen. Androgen in turn stimulates the process of spermatogenesis. FSH acts on Sertoli cells and stimulates the secretion of some factors. What is this factor, students? What is this factor? The factor here is nothing but your ABP, androgen binding protein, which helps in the process of spermiogenesis. Spermiogenesis, not spermatogenesis, spermiogenesis. Any doubt here? Quickly tell me in the chat. Any doubt here? Any doubt here? This slide here, or this slide here, or this slide here? Any doubts? This is the male, this is the sperm. Sperm has the entire sperm is covered by the plasma membrane. Entire sperm is covered by the plasma membrane. We have a cap-like structure called as acrosome, which has a lot of enzymes. Then in the middle there is a nucleus containing chromosomal material, neck region. Then we have middle piece, mitochondria present in the middle piece, tail for the motility. That is flagellate movement. Okay, middle piece, tail, membrane envelop the whole body. Sperm head contains an elongated haploid nucleus. Very important, this is haploid nucleus. Obviously, sperm is the result of spermiosis or haploid nucleus. Cap is called as acrosome, which has a lot of enzymes. The middle piece has mitochondria, which produces energy for movement of the tail that facilitates the sperm motility, essential for the fertilization. Now, here again very important. The human male ejaculates around 200 to 300 million sperms during coitus, of which for normal fertility at least 60% sperm must have normal shape and normal size. If I ask you a question, if there are 100,000 sperm, out of this 1,000 sperm, how many of them should have normal motility? Tell me in the chat. That is 60% of the sperm should have normal shape and size. Tell me, out of this 1,000 sperm, how many of them should have normal shape and size? Normal shape and size. You will tell, sir, 60% of your 1,000 sperm is 600. Should have normal shape and size. Now, I'm going to say this. And at least 40% of them must show vigorous motility. That is, out of the 600, 40% should show vigorous motility. Tell me what is the number for that also. Tell me the number for 40% also. Tell me the number for 40% now. Tell me the number for 40%. 60% should have normal shape and size. 40% of that 60% should have motility. Tell me. If you're telling 400, you're wrong. 400 is wrong. 400 is going to be wrong. Tell me. Think, all of you, think. Students, 40% of 600, that is around 240 sperms. 240 sperms should be proper. That is, only if motility is there, what is the use if there is no proper shape? So, out of 1,000 sperms, 240 sperms should be completely proper. That is, 60% of them should have normal shape and size. And out of the 60%, 40% should have vigorous motility. Understood? Understood, all of you? Students, if you're new to the session right now, quickly smash that like button, all of you. Okay. The sperm releases the seminiferous tubule are transported via axillary ducts of the epididymis. Secretion of epididymis, vas deferens, vas afferentia, seminal vesicle and prostate are essential for maturation and motility of the sperm. The seminal plasma along with sperm includes semen. I told you already. seminal plasma plus sperm, which will make up the semen. The functions of the axillary ducts and glands are maintained by the testicular hormone called as androgen. So androgen maintains entire work. Androgen maintains the entire work. Clear? Now students, that is the end. Now students, can we start the last part of today's class? Before we have go to a lot of PYQs. We have a lot of PYQs coming up. 15 minutes we'll go for PYQs only. Beautiful PYQs are there. But before we go to the last part of PYQ, any doubt till now, tell me in the chat. And also, last part, that is oogenesis now. Can we start oogenesis? Now? Oogenesis now. Yes, can we start? Oogenesis. Students, are you able to understand everything till now? Tell me. Yes or no in the chat quickly. Yes. Now. Again, similarly students, how we made a plan for your entire spermatogenesis, can we draw a table for oogenesis? I want everyone to open your books right now. Write down with me when you're in the live. If you're watching it recorded, smash that like button and also write with us. Write with me. Okay, write with me, all of you. Oogenesis. So unlike, tell me in the chat quickly, when does the spermatogenesis start? Spermatogenesis starts at the puberty. All of you know that. But oogenesis, students, oogenesis starts at the embryonic stage. It starts at the embryonic stage. Oogenesis starts. So first we have the oogonia. Which is diploid in shape, diploid in nature. It undergoes mitosis. It undergoes initially mitosis. When it undergoes mitosis, it produces more of oogonia. Diploid in nature, more oogonia. Yes, more oogonia. Now, one such oogonia undergoes differentiation, or I can also call it growth, and results in the formation of a diploid primary oocyte. Now students, this primary oocyte undergoes meiosis 1. It undergoes meiosis 1. It starts to undergo meiosis 1. But does it finish meiosis 1, students? That is the main question. Does the meiosis 1 gets over? No. The meiosis 1 does not get over. In fact, it gets suspended. At prophase 1 at diplotin stage. It gets suspended at prophase 1 at diplotin stage. Arrested. Now students, whatever we learned right now, this entire thing till here is at embryonic stage. All of this is happening at embryonic stage. All of this. Okay. Now, after this meiosis 1, which is suspended at your prophase 1 diplotin stage, it is stopped. It stopped there until now we have embryonic stage. Then we have birth of the child. Then the child grows. The female child grows. Childhood. Now, once the female child reaches puberty, that's when the meiosis 1 is completed. Yes, meiosis 1 is completed, giving rise to two different cells. Meiosis 1 is completed, giving rise to two different cells. That is called as your secondary oocyte. And the small, very tiny first polar body. first polar body. First polar body. So after meiosis 1 is not completed until puberty. Until puberty, meiosis 1 is not completed. Once puberty starts, meiosis 1 is completed, which give rise to secondary oocyte and first polar body. First polar body. Done. Till here, any doubt? Quickly ask me. Till here, any doubt? Quickly ask me. Now, students, this secondary oocyte starts to undergo. This secondary oocyte starts to undergo meiosis 2. Meiosis 2. Meiosis 2. Meiosis 2 starts to undergo meiosis 2. But does it finish meiosis 2? No. Again, this secondary oocyte gets let me write it for you, otherwise you'll get confused. Secondary oocyte. Secondary oocyte. Okay, it's there. This secondary oocyte gets arrested at or gets suspended at metaphase. At metaphase 2. Metaphase 2. Arrested at metaphase 2. That is, the secondary oocyte is going to remain as such. The secondary oocyte is going to remain as such until the one small contact will happen. What is that small contact? What is the small contact, friends? This meiosis 2 will get over. This meiosis 2 will get over only when? Meiosis 2 will get over only when the sperm gets in contact with the egg. This is the secondary oocyte. When the secondary oocyte comes in contact with the sperm. Secondary oocyte, it comes in contact with the sperm. As soon as the sperm comes in contact with the secondary oocyte, meiosis 2 is completed. Meiosis 2 is completed only when the sperm comes in contact with the egg. When the sperm comes in contact with the egg. And that will end up giving two more structures. That is called as ovum or ooted and the tiny second polar body. Second polar body. That is the end of it. That is the end of it. This looks very bad. Let me summarize it for you now. Let me summarize the entire thing for you. First, the oogenesis starts at the embryonic stage, where we have millions of oogonia. One such oogonia starts to differentiate, which produces your primary oocyte. Now this primary oocyte starts to undergo meiosis 1, but it does not finish, but it gets suspended at prophase 1 diploidine stage. Now once the female child is born, the female child reaches puberty. Once the female child reaches puberty, the meiosis 1 is completed, which give rise to the secondary oocyte and first polar body. It's going to be haploid. This is diploid. Okay. A secondary oocyte in first polar body. Now this secondary oocyte starts to undergo meiosis 2, but again it gets suspended at metaphase 2 until event. Now this is the same secondary oocyte which is released as at ovulation. Ovulation is happening here. Remember, secondary oocyte is released in the menstrual cycle, not the ovum or ooted. Technically, even under the ovulation, secondary oocyte is released. Now this secondary oocyte finishes the meiosis 2. This secondary oocyte finishes the meiosis 2 when it comes in contact with the sperm. Once the secondary oocyte comes in contact with the sperm, it will result in ovum or ootid and the second polar body. So technically, the second polar body is produced. Second polar body is produced where? In the oviduct, right? Because fertilization is happening where? Fertilization is happening in the ampulla region. So second polar body is produced in the oviduct, and the first polar body is produced inside the ovary. Produced inside the ovary. Done. Students, did all of you write down and understand every single step till here? Because this is just part 1. Oogenesis, this is the end of oogenesis. But at the same time as the oogenesis is taking place, there is one more parallel event which is happening simultaneously called as follicular genesis. Follicular genesis, that we'll understand now. Follicular genesis. In the female there are primary follicles, secondary follicle, tertiary follicles, and lastly Graafian follicle. Graafian follicle. Now what is primary follicle? What is each one of them? Let me teach you. What is primary follicle, students? What is primary follicle? Primary follicle is nothing but primary oocyte plus granulosa cells. That is a single layer of them. A single layer of granulosa cells. Single layer. Now what is secondary follicle? Secondary follicle is nothing but again primary oocyte plus more layers of granulosa cells. Now what is tertiary follicle? Tertiary follicle is a follicle inside which the primary oocyte gets converted to secondary oocyte plus gets converted to secondary oocyte, and at the same time there is a fluid filled cavity here. The fluid filled cavity is called as antrum. It is called as antrum. Now one more point which should be noted here is under your tertiary follicle is that during the tertiary follicle there is separation of theca. Separation of theca. What is theca? Theca is like a layer. Separation of theca. That is theca externa and theca interna. Theca externa and interna. Theca externa and theca interna. Theca formation happens here. Theca formation is happening here. Theca formation. Now what is Graafian follicle? Graafian follicle is the most mature follicle. It is the most mature follicle which ruptures open. And it releases the egg during ovulation. It is not exactly the egg, it is secondary oocyte. It is supposed to be secondary oocyte. It is supposed to be secondary oocyte. Students, are you able to understand how it is? Are you able to understand how this is going to be the entire follicles? This is called as follicular genesis, which is happening simultaneously. It is happening simultaneously along with your oogenesis. Now, last point which I have to add here, the only point we have to add here is that your primary follicle and secondary follicle are present at the embryonic stage. Why is it is the embryonic stage? Because primary oocyte, secondary oocyte. Primary oocyte and secondary oocyte are present where? Primary oocyte and secondary oocyte are present at embryonic stage. Primary oocyte. Only primary oocyte is at embryonic stage. So, your primary follicle and secondary follicle both are present at embryonic stage. But what about tertiary follicle? Since tertiary follicle has secondary oocyte, tertiary follicle has secondary oocyte, that is coming where? It's coming at puberty. Secondary oocyte at puberty. At puberty. At puberty. Students, this graph right here, so not this table, this important lines which I've written here, the most important lines which I've written here, this is the foundation. This is the foundation for so many questions. And I will show you proof now. I will show you proof. I will show you proof for it. Okay. Is there any doubt here? Quickly shoot. Any doubt here? And students, if you are new to the channel, quickly like this session and subscribe to the channel. Okay. Don't forget to like the session. It's very important. Okay. Now. Let's read the NCERT lines, what they say, and understand. Let's read the NCERT lines. Let's read the NCERT lines. The process of formation of mature female gamete is called as oogenesis, which is marked by the different from the spermatogenesis. Oogenesis is initiated at the embryonic developmental stage when a couple of millions of gametes called as oogonia are formed within the each fetal ovary. No more oogonia. See, once oogonia is added, once enough of oogonia is added at a fetal stage, no more oogonia will be added thereafter. Once it is added, the amount of oogonia is present at before the birth, it is going to remain throughout your life. Females, the amount of oogonia which is present at the fetal stage, the same number of oogonia will be present throughout the lifetime. As in, like, it will keep on decreasing, but it will not increase. It will not increase. Okay, it will keep on decreasing. Now these cells starts dividing, starts division and enter into prophase 1 of the mitotic division and gets temporarily arrested at this stage. Prophase 1, diploiding stage, primary oocyte. Each primary oocyte then gets surrounded by a layer of granulosa cells and we call it primary follicle. Folliculogenesis, simultaneously it is happening. Simultaneously it is happening, right? Simultaneously happening. Primary follicle. Okay. The large number of these follicles degenerate during the phase from birth to puberty. At puberty, there are only 60 to 80,000 of primary follicles. That is before the birth. Before birth. Before puberty. Before puberty, primary oocyte only 60,000 to 80k. 60k to 80k is left. Primary follicles are left in each ovary. The primary follicles get surrounded by more layer of granulosa cells and a new theca is called as secondary follicle. Here, we learned here, right? Secondary follicle. Primary oocyte, more layer of granulosa cells, new theca formation, secondary follicle. That we call that secondary follicle. And it is the same primary follicle which is present into 60k to 80k. This is the one actually. 60 to 80k present before the puberty. Okay. Secondary follicle. Now, the secondary follicle soon transform into tertiary follicle, which characterized by a fluid-filled cavity called as antrum. We wrote that the theca layer is organized into theca interna and theca externa. It is important to draw your notation. Let me write. It is important to draw your notation, draw your attention that this stage, that the primary oocyte, where in the tertiary follicle, primary oocyte is getting converted to secondary oocyte. Where in the tertiary follicle, primary oocyte is getting converted to secondary oocyte. Stage the primary oocyte within the tertiary follicle. So tertiary follicle will have primary oocyte initially. tertiary follicle will have primary oocyte initially. Tertiary follicle grows in size and completes its first meiotic division. It is an unequal division resulting in the formation of a large secondary oocyte and a tiny first polar body. Tiny first polar body. That all that I can tell you is primary oocyte is finishing its first meiosis. Primary oocyte is finishing the first meiosis in tertiary follicle, resulting in secondary oocyte. See here, the first meiosis here, this is what they're talking. Primary oocyte is finishing the first meiosis where? Inside the tertiary follicle. Inside the tertiary follicle. Now, once first meiosis is over, which will result in secondary oocyte and first polar body. Secondary oocyte and first polar body. Understand. Beautiful lines of NCERT drawn with the help of diagram. Okay. Now, the secondary oocyte retains the bulk of the nutrient cytoplasm of the primary oocyte. Okay. Now, at present we are not very certain about what is the main use of polar body. They'll never ask you. The tertiary follicle further changes into mature Graafian follicle. Okay, Graafian follicle. The secondary oocyte forms a new membrane called as zona pellucida layer. Okay, the secondary oocyte. Here, let me write it for you, otherwise you'll forget it off. The secondary oocyte inside the Graafian follicle. The secondary oocyte. Secondary oocyte inside the Graafian follicle. Inside the Graafian follicle is making a new layer called as zona pellucida. Let me write zona pellucida. That is, secondary oocyte has the zona pellucida layer. Remember that. So this is secondary oocyte. Secondary oocyte will have a layer, zona pellucida layer on top of it. Zona pellucida layer on top of it. Okay. Done. The Graafian follicle now ruptures and releases the secondary oocyte. See, secondary oocyte is being released. Always remember. Ovum from the ovary by the process called as ovulation, and that is the end of oogenesis. This is the structure. Can you see diagram view of ovary? Of the ovary. Blood vessels, primary follicle, growing into tertiary follicle. Eventually we have tertiary follicle. Primary follicle is present where? Primary follicle is embryonic stage. Tertiary follicle puberty, and Graafian follicle. Graafian follicle is rupturing, produces the egg. Leftover part is converted to corpus luteum. The leftover ruptured part, this ruptured part is converted to corpus luteum, which will later take important role is there in the maintaining of the pregnancy. That is progesterone. It produces progesterone. Later we will study that in menstrual cycle. Not today. Okay, that's all. This you can see comparative analysis. Start with the question now. Let's start with the questions now. Let's start with the questions one by one, and we'll finish the class today. You have a homework question, and students, I saw. Sir, after that new form are membranes called as zona pellucida. See, they are not zona pellucida is just a member. It's just a membrane. Zona pellucida is just a membrane here. The secondary oocyte will get a membrane. That's all. The secondary oocyte, not see. Graafian follicle never gets a membrane. Graafian follicle is the outside. Inside the Graafian follicle, there is something called as secondary oocyte. The same secondary oocyte. That secondary oocyte will get a separate layer called as zona pellucida layer. We get a separate layer called as zona pellucida layer. Students, I know this might be overwhelming. You would have must by heart this entire thing. It might be overwhelming, but students, watch the lecture once, twice, you'll understand very well. Now, see, look at the question now. Look at the question. The primary oocyte results in. What will happen to primary oocyte now? What will happen to the division of primary oocyte? Unequal cells, a smaller haploid secondary oocyte and a large diploid polar body? No. An unequal cell, a large haploid secondary oocyte, and a small haploid polar body. Yes. Unequal cell, small, diploid, no diploid. After meiosis, there is no diploid. Unequal, a haploid secondary oocyte and a haploid polar body. Is it equal cells? No. Unequal cells, right? It is unequal cells. Unequal cells. We learned, right? I'll show you every single time we see a question. I'll show you. Go back and show you. See here. After primary oocyte, 2 unequal cells, a haploid oocyte, and a haploid polar body, small polar body. Done. Next question. How do ovulated oocytes get into uterus? How they will get into uterus? We have oocytes now. Oocyte is produced where? All of these oocytes are produced inside the ovary. All of them are produced inside the ovary. All the oocytes and follicles, they are produced inside the ovary here. From here, how will they move? How will they move and end up here? That is the question. That is the question. Diagram is important for you to understand better the question also. Because the ovaries are within the uterus, the ovulated egg cell already within the uterus, the cilia within the oviduct duct creates a current that sweeps the egg towards the uterus. The oocyte actively swims. They cannot swim. The fimbriae sweep over the oviduct. No. I told you there is something, a ciliated movement. Did I tell you? A ciliated movement? Yes. 2 is the answer. A ciliated movement. Ciliated movement. Next question. The primary oocyte completes its first meiotic division within. I told you this focus. I told you. Primary oocyte will finish the first meiotic division within which follicle? Primary follicle, secondary follicle, tertiary follicle, Cutoffs follicle. It's going to be your. It is going to be your. Which one? Primary oocyte is getting converted to secondary oocyte. Secondary oocyte. Primary oocyte will be present in primary follicle, and also secondary follicle. But as soon as we come to tertiary follicle, it gets converted to secondary oocyte. Students, are you able to understand the quality of questions you get? Secondary, tertiary follicle, right? Tertiary follicle. Let me show you. Confirmation is very important. Whatever you have learnt has come in your examination. I told you repeatedly. Primary oocyte becomes secondary oocyte inside your tertiary follicle. Inside the tertiary follicle. Everything is given here. It is the matter of revision. It is the matter of solving enough of questions. Next question. Oogenesis starts at. It's a very easy question. Oogenesis starts at. Students, these are quality questions. They are not random questions. Quality questions. Oogenesis starts at the embryonic stage. This is an easy question. Next question. Arrested stage called primary oocyte is formed. Arrested stage called as primary oocyte is formed. When do you find primary oocyte? Arrested stage. Primary oocyte gets arrested at which stage? Is it at menarche? No. At puberty? No. Before the puberty, it is getting arrested? No. At the time of birth? No. The arrested stage, the arrested stage you have, it is even before the childbirth. That is during fetal growth. Starting. See here. During the fetal growth, before the development. I'll show you. Students, all of these questions are very difficult questions. Understand. Primary oocyte is formed where? Primary oocyte is formed primary oocyte is suspended. Primary oocyte is suspended even before the birth, right? It's getting suspended even before the birth. It is getting arrested at embryonic stage. Embryonic stage is getting arrested. After birth, different story. Before the birth only it's getting stopped. Then only birth, then only child, then only puberty, right? Then only puberty. Did all of you understand? Did all of you understand the question? Highest stage called as primary oocyte is formed during fetal growth. That is before the growth only, not during childbirth. Did all of you understand? Are you able to solve the questions now? Are you able to solve the questions? Understand? Now, fluid-filled cavity is a characteristic feature of which one? Very easy question. Tertiary follicle. This is a direct question. No, this is a direct question. Now, what is released at ovulation? At ovulation, what is released? Primary oocyte arrested at meiosis 1, primary oocyte arrested at meiosis 2, secondary oocyte arrested at meiosis 1, secondary oocyte arrested at meiosis 2. The time starts now. Go. Go, 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 go. Students, you will have to, only when you know the concept which I told today, only when you know the concept which I taught you today, you will be able to solve such questions. You will be able to solve such questions only because of the concept which you learned today. Okay? No. You might be getting confused again. Let me show you the thing. You have to revise all the time. You have to keep on revising. What is released during ovulation? You might go wrong here. You might go wrong here. But once you just revisit the graph, you'll know. Tell me, what is released during ovulation? During ovulation. At puberty, during ovulation, secondary oocyte. Secondary oocyte, right? Secondary, this is released at ovulation. Tell me, is it released at ovulation? No, not after meiosis 1. Not after meiosis 1. This is not released at ovulation. This secondary oocyte will undergo meiosis 2. Undergoes meiosis 2. Then it is ovulation is happening. Then ovulation is happening, and that secondary oocyte is released. Not after meiosis 1. After meiosis 2, that secondary oocyte is being released. Understanding? Are you understanding now? Are you understanding the question? Students, Pavitra, Manoj, Monisha, Madhumiti, Danu, Meghana, Hero, Ravindrani, are you understanding now? The secondary oocyte is released, I told you. Secondary oocyte is released. But is it right after meiosis 1? No. This secondary oocyte is undergoing meiosis 2. Then it is getting arrested. That after meiosis 2, the secondary oocyte is arrested. That is being released now. That is being released. That is being released. See this. Look at the question. Look at the question. First of all, it's not primary oocyte, gone. Now, secondary oocyte arrested at meiosis 1. No, meiosis 1 is over. It is at meiosis 2. Arrested at meiosis 2. That arrested stage, it is being released later on, and ovulation is happening. And this secondary oocyte, when it meets with the sperm, second meiosis is over. Once second meiosis is over, then we have the ooted and second polar body. Did all of you understand this question, or tell me yes or no in the chat if you want me to explain this? Did all of you understand? That is more important. Concept is more important. You know the concept now. You know the answer. You have the notes. It's only a matter of application of it, and you will get the answer. Application is the only missing. Application is the only missing right now. Look at this question now. Look at this question. Students, how are the questions? Tell me in the chat now. Good questions, right? Quality questions. Quality questions. Now, secondary oocyte is formed at puberty, at the time of birth, after fertilization, during embryonic growth. During embryonic growth. Again, a very good question. Very good question. Secondary oocyte is formed. When is it formed? When it is formed. When do you get secondary oocyte? When is it forming? Formation of secondary oocyte. Go back to the friends. When you such these questions, don't worry. Notes are with you. You don't have to worry even a single time also. You don't have to worry. Secondary oocyte is formed where? Secondary oocyte is formed during puberty. Before puberty, primary oocyte. During your fertilization, what is forming during fertilization? Ovum is forming. So secondary oocyte is formed at the puberty. Done? So one is the answer. One is the answer. Now, oocyte is formed along with. Oocyte is formed along with. How do you find formation of oocyte? Along with the ovum, second polar body, secondary oocyte and primary oocyte. Second polar body, right? At the end, after the fertilization. Sir, why does the fertilization of ovum but not zygote? Rajendra, zygote does not undergo fertilization. Zygote is a result of fertilization. Understand that. See, oh, you are getting confused, right? Let me tell you. Let me clear the confusion. Students. Here, fertilization is not happening. Let me tell you. Here, fertilization is not happening. The sperm is coming in contact with the secondary oocyte. That's all. As soon as the sperm comes in contact, just contact, no fertilization, just comes in contact with the secondary oocyte, then we get ovum. Now this ovum will later fuse. It's inside, right? This ovum is produced inside the secondary oocyte. It is produced inside the secondary oocyte, right? Inside the secondary oocyte. Oh, oops, I erased it. It is produced inside the secondary oocyte. Now, the nuclei of the gamete which inside the sperm, there is nuclei. That nuclei will come. That nuclei and the nuclei of the oocyte will fuse. Then there will be zygote formation. This is just coming in contact. Here. Clear, all of you? Do not have that confusion. If you have any confusion, ask me. Good question. Nice. There is no fertilization here. Just it's coming in contact here. Okay. With the second polar body, students. With that, half of the chapter is over. 2.5 hours. 2.5 hours. Solving PYQs, getting the concept cleared, reading NCERT. 3 things are covered. Concept you are done, you know all of you know the concept. All of you know the concept now. All of you did solve the questions, you solve the questions. All of you read the NCERT with me, you read the NCERT with me, students. NCERT with me. So before I go, I'll give you a homework question. This is the homework question. The homework question is missing, huh? Homework question is missing. Oops. Homework question is missing. Okay. I'll give you homework question as such. I'll give you orally homework question. Homework question I'll give you orally. Okay. In the homework question, I want you to completely write the order. Homework question is, I want you to write the order of the sperm transfer. Like, what is the first one? How the sperm is being transferred through various ducts. How is the sperm being transferred through various ducts? That I want homework question. I think it's there somewhere. I think I wrote a homework question. I didn't write, huh? Ah, here it is there. Homework question. This is the homework question. Homework question. Right here. Homework question right here. This is the homework question. A, B, C, D. I want to read the homework question. This is the question from your NEET 2024. I'm giving you a PYQ as a homework question. Okay. Where do you have to do? In the comments. All of you. If you're watching it record also, you should do it. Everyone. Jai Meghna Danu. Right? Jai Meghna Danu, Ravindrani, Madhumata, Jai. I will ask you everything. I will ask you all the time. Second last question, no? Second last question. Let me see. This is the last question. This question, right? This question. Secondary oocyte is produced is formed. Secondary oocyte, when is it formed? Tell me. Secondary oocyte, when it is formed? That's the simple question. Simple question. Right? Simple question. See here, if you go back here, see here. Primary oocyte is formed when? Primary oocyte is formed at the embryonic stage. Now, this primary oocyte starts meiosis 1, gets arrested at diploiding stage. But as soon as the female child reaches puberty, at the puberty, secondary oocyte is formed. Now, what is the question? The question is, when is the secondary oocyte formed? So, secondary oocyte is formed when the female child reaches the puberty. That's it. Clear? All of you understand? At the puberty. Simple question. See, students, questions are difficult. I know questions might be confusing, but if you know this table, here NCERT does not give you such clear table. If you look at the NCERT, it will never give you such clear table writing one point where it goes. So I have given you that, students, today. I have given you that. Hopefully, let me know in the chat, students. Let me know in the chat. Not chat right now. In the comments, how was zoology from a botanist? How was zoology from a botanist perspective? Okay, let me know in the chat that one. Let's start with menstrual cycle now, shall we? Now, let me read for you. All of you read with me, and if any doubt anywhere, always ask me, I'm here. Okay. The reproductive cycle in the female primates, that is monkey, humans and everything, apes and human beings, is called as menstrual cycle. Similarly, the other mammals, which includes your animals and dogs, do they also have menstrual cycle, the females there? Do you think the females undergo something called as menstrual cycle? Yes, they do. There is an event which is similar to menstrual cycle. It is called as estrous cycle. OESTROUS. It's called as estrous cycle, which happens in your other apes, other non-primates, other primates, that is your cats and dogs and everything. But there are key differences there. Obviously, in the menstrual cycle, in the case of your primates, there is a bleeding and everything, but there is no bleeding or as such in the case of cats and dogs. But there is a cycle called as estrous cycle there. Clear? The first menstruation begins at puberty and is called as menarche. Write down all of you. This is a very good question. Also been a PYQ question. The starting of menstrual cycle. The start of menstrual cycle is called as menarche. Now tell me, what do you call the end of menstrual cycle? The end of menstrual cycle is called as menopause. So starting of the menstrual cycle, which is menarche, which happens usually around 12 to 14 years old girls, the menarche, then this is the menarche, and the menopause. The menopause usually takes place around 55 years old females, 55 years old. Okay, this is called as menopause. This is menarche. Starting is called as menarche, ending is called as menopause. Any doubt there? Any doubt there? No. Very easy, right? The human female's menstruation is repeated on an average interval of 28 to 29 days. So every 28 to 29 days, there is a menstrual cycle, right? And the cycle event starting from one menstruation till the next one is called as the menstrual cycle. So the entire thing is called as menstrual cycle. Easy, easy. The ovum is released, that is ovulation, during the middle. Okay, students, let's read later on. Let's read later on. Can we decode this diagram now? Can we decode this diagram? Tell me. Tell me, are you ready for decoding time? This is called as decoding time, where we completely decode the diagram without leaving a single point, and I will make sure you understand every single point now. Ready? Tell me. Tell me if the diagram is visible, because I will write a lot right now. I want you to write with me. Ready? Tell me. Every single point we'll be discussing now. Tell me if you're ready or not. The entire decoding. No. Tell me, is the diagram visible? Is it visible? Tell me yes sir, it is visible in the chat, and we'll start, students. Friends, you need to know that in the entire menstrual cycle, see, ultimate focus now, ultimate focus. In the entire menstrual cycle, there are two events happening simultaneously. The meaning of simultaneously is that the two events are happening at the same time. Two events happening at the same time. What are these two events? The first event is called as your ovarian events. Here, one is called as ovarian events. Ovarian events. The other one, which is happening in the uterus, that is going to be a uterine events.
uterine events. So there are two events happening. The first event is happening in the ovary called as ovarian events. The other event which is happening at the same time in the uterus is called as uterine events. Two events happening simultaneously at the same time. Now here the interesting part is that one event is influencing the other event. I repeat again, one event is influencing the other event with respect to hormones. For example, here the first phase in the ovarian event is called as follicular phase. It's called as what? Follicular phase. Okay, it's called as follicular phase. At the same time, in the uterus, it's called as proliferatory phase. It's called as proliferative phase. Okay. So in the ovaries, follicular phase. In the uterus, that is in the uterine tissue, that is proliferatory phase. Two events happening simultaneously. Now in the uterus, there is one more event happening at the same time. That is, before this, there is one more event called as the menstruation. But let me write it up. Which is the menstruation. Okay. Now, then there is a common event. That is going to be ovulation. That is a very common event in both. Okay, common event. Now, what is the next event here? The next event in the ovary is called as your luteal phase. At the same time, in the uterus, it's happening called as secretory phase. Now, this was just the pre-requirements. If you have understood this, the next part is going to be very easy. If you have understood this much, next part is going to be very easy. You can follow through now. Okay. Now, let's start with this part. That is, entire event is divided into, can you see? One line is here, and one line is here, and one line is here. This part is different, this part is different. What is happening? This part, this side, the left hand side will be studying first. Now, in the starting, students, can you see there is an increase in level of FSH? Quickly tell me in the chat, what is FSH now? That is follicular stimulating hormone, right? Increase in level of FSH, yes. Increase in level of FSH, that is follicular stimulating hormone. It stimulates development of follicle. Yes. So that is what is happening here. Do you see here? We have the tertiary follicle and Graafian follicle. This primary follicle, secondary follicle, all this is developing in the embryonic stage. But right now, the main focus should be on tertiary phase and Graafian follicle. Now, increase in level of FSH. Is influencing the development of follicle. Okay. There is development of follicle. Increase in level of FSH. Now, once there is a dominant follicle, because every month, in the case of female, one ovary is releasing one egg. Out of the two ovaries, every month, one ovary is releasing only one egg. So every month, there is a requirement of only a single dominant follicle. With me? Single dominant follicle. So once there is a formation of dominant follicle, is there any requirement of FSH now? Tell me. Follicular stimulating hormone is stimulating the development of follicles. Now, once there is a dominant follicle, is there a requirement of FSH? No. Can you see now? There's a decrease in level of FSH now? Yes. There's a decrease in level of FSH here. Now, how is it happening? How is it decreasing? That is very important to understand. How is it decreasing? There is something called as feedback mechanism. Once there is a dominant follicle, the surrounding cells here called as granulosa cells. Granulosa cells does the feedback mechanism to decrease the level of FSH. To decrease the level of FSH. The feedback mechanism by granulosa cells. At the same time, there is also involvement of inhibin. Inhibin is also released by granulosa cells. Remember the structure of follicle. The structure of the follicle on the outside has granulosa cells. Granulosa cells. So granulosa cells is doing feedback mechanism to decrease the level of FSH. Decrease in level of FSH. Now, can you see a diagram? Diagram is more important. Decrease in level of FSH. Now, we have the dominant follicle. Now, this dominant follicle is releasing the estrogen. Do you realize how one event is influencing the other event? Development of follicle. The follicle is releasing estrogen. Because of the follicle, there is release of estrogen. Now, can you see the blue line is increasing here? Yes, the blue line is more here. Here. Not here. See here. The blue line is more. Now, once there is increase in level of estrogen, what is happening? Because of increase in level of estrogen, it is influencing the development of endometrium layer. Point to be noted. Increase in level of estrogen is causative reason for increase in development of, that is development of endometrium layer. There is a piling of endometrium layer. You have studied this during the menstrual cycle, during the hormonal stages. There is development of endometrium layer 2, which makes sure that it is ready for, uterus is ready for implantation, right? So this is what development of endometrium layer is happening because of increase in the level of estrogen. Blue line is up. This part is over. Any doubt here, ask me quickly, students. Concept did all of you understand? I will revise again once if you want. I'll just repeat it once if you want. Listen to me very carefully. Starting, there is increase in level of FSH. Increase in level of FSH, that is follicular stimulating hormone. It is stimulating the development of follicle. Once we have a dominant follicle, there is no more requirement of FSH. So can I tell there is a reverse mechanism, that is feedback mechanism, and decrease in level of FSH. Done. Now this developing follicle, because of the developed follicle, there is increase in level of estrogen. Blue line is increasing. Blue line is over the red line. Now this increased level of estrogen is directly affecting the development of endometrium layer. So endometrium layer is increased or developed because of the increase in level of estrogen. Done. Done. Progesterone, not right now. Progesterone, not right now. Progesterone will come later on. Till here, it's over. Tell me if you understood till here. First part of your menstrual cycle is done. There is an event which is happening in the ovary. Ovarian event. And ovarian it is called as what? Follicular phase. That is development of follicle. That is why it's called as follicular phase. Development of follicles. At the same time, it's called as proliferatory phase in the uterus. Why? Because there is proliferation of endometrium layer. Endometrium layer. Okay. How is the estrogen increasing? Estrogen is increasing because of the developing follicle. Because of developing follicle. And why it's called as follicular phase? Why it is called as proliferatory phase? Because there is proliferation of endometrium layer. Concept is very important. Concept is important. Okay. Now students, listen to me very carefully. Listen to me very carefully now. Now, at the 14th day, there is an increase in levels of, both LH as well as increase in level of FSH. Both are spiking here. Both are spiking. FSH and LH both are spiking, and that is called as LH surge. It is called as LH surge because there is a sudden increase in LH here. Now, because of LH surge, which happens on the 14th day, there is rupturing of Graafian follicle. Rupturing of Graafian follicle. Why? Tell me in the chat quickly. Because of LH surge. S-U-R-G-E. Because of LH surge, there is ovulation is happening. What is ovulation, students? Ovulation is nothing but rupturing of the Graafian follicle and the release of secondary oocyte. Technical term. Release of secondary oocyte. Secondary oocyte is being released. Secondary oocyte. Now, why am I calling it secondary oocyte and not the oocyte? Because this secondary oocyte now will start to undergo meiosis 2, and then it will get arrested, and then when it comes in contact with the sperm, then it will become ooted. Not now, not now. Okay, not second oocyte. Okay, now ovulation is happening, and can you see there's no change here? There's not much change here. There is only increase in level of estrogen, because of follicle. Now what happens to ovulation? Now once the ovulation is taking place, the ooted is released. If there is fertilization, if the sperm is entering the vaginal tract, if there is sperm is there, if fertilization take place, then there will be zygote formation, embryo formation, implantation, parturition, lactation. The entire flow will happen. The entire flow will happen if there is fertilization. Now, what if there is no fertilization? What if there is no sperm is coming, there is no entry of sperm, and there is no fertilization? If there is no fertilization, what happens? That also will study now. That also will study. Okay? Can we study? Listen to me very carefully now. Listen to me very carefully. Listen to me very carefully. Now, listen to me very carefully. Can you see? This is red one is FSH, right? Red one is FSH. Blue one is LH. I'll write with blue now. I'll write with blue. What happens now? Now, can you see there is an increase in level of LH here? Increase in level of LH. Increase in level of LH now. This generally happens. Listen to me very carefully now. Listen to me very carefully. There is increase in level of LH here. Okay. Now, once the ovulation took place, what happens to the remaining part of Graafian follicle? The remaining part of Graafian follicle, apart from the secondary oocyte, gets converted to corpus luteum. Point clear? Point clear? Yes. That is, Graafian follicle, the remaining part of Graafian follicle gets converted to corpus luteum. Okay, corpus luteum is there now. Now listen to me very carefully. Can you see there is an increase in the level of LH here? Yes, sir. LH is more here. Now this LH will maintain the corpus luteum. Very important point. LH will maintain the corpus luteum. And because of corpus luteum, the main function of corpus luteum is to produce progesterone. See, corpus luteum is there. Can you see? The red line is increasing here. The red line is nothing but what? What is the red line? The red line is progesterone. So, progesterone is increasing. Corpus luteum is producing progesterone. So, increase in level of LH. LH is maintaining the corpus luteum. Corpus luteum is producing progesterone. What is the function of progesterone now? What is the function of progesterone? The main function of progesterone is to maintain the endometrium here. Can you see here? It is maintaining. It is maintaining endometrium layer. Endometrium layer. So, I'll repeat again, students. Increase in level of LH here. LH is maintaining corpus luteum. Corpus luteum is producing progesterone. Progesterone is doing what? Progesterone is maintaining the endometrium layer. Maintaining the endometrium layer. Now, if I ask you a question, students, which hormone is responsible for formation of endometrium layer? The formation of endometrium layer is estrogen. Maintaining the endometrium layer is progesterone. Is that point clear to every single student watching lecture right now, or any single student who's going to watch it later on? Is that point clear to all of you? Production, that is proliferation, is because of estrogen. Then maintaining is because of progesterone. Maintaining is because of progesterone. Point to be noted. Now, what if there is no fertilization? What if there is no fertilization? If there is no fertilization, no fertilization. No fertilization. If there is no fertilization, can I tell the LH will drop? First thing which is going to happen right now, if there is no fertilization, the LH will drop. If the LH is dropping, students, listen to me now. If the LH is dropping, who will maintain the corpus luteum now? Who will maintain the corpus luteum? If the LH is dropping, corpus luteum cannot be maintained. The corpus luteum gets converted to corpus albicans, or we can call it regression of corpus luteum. That is, the corpus luteum completely degenerates. Gone. Corpus luteum is gone now. Corpus luteum is gone. Why? Because there is a decrease in LH here. Now, if the corpus luteum is gone, corpus luteum was producing progesterone. I told you. Can I see decrease in progesterone here? Here. Decrease in progesterone. Yes. There's a decrease in progesterone. Now, the main function of progesterone was to maintain the endometrium layer. If there is no progesterone, obviously there is no one to maintain the endometrium layer, and the endometrium layer will collapse. All the blood vessels will come out, unfertilized egg will come out, and that is the start of right here of new menstrual cycle, of the new menstruation period. That's the bleeding stage. Do you realize the main reason for bleeding is that decrease in level of LH, regression of degeneration of corpus luteum, decrease in the level of progesterone, collapse of endometrium layer. Did we just understand the entire menstrual cycle? Yes, we did. And do you realize it's called as luteal phase? Why? Because there is corpus luteum, obviously, corpus luteum, and luteinizing hormone, and also it's called as secretory phase because the endometrium layer here is secretory in nature. It is secretory in nature, endometrium layer. Easy, right? That was the entire menstrual cycle, students. Entire menstrual cycle made it easy for you. Any doubt, ask me now. Now, with that being said, days are important. Can you see? 1st to 13th stage. 1 to 13th stage is going to be proliferatory phase, also called as follicular phase. 14th day is going to be the LH surge. 15th to 29th day is going to be luteal phase or secretory phase. Then again it starts. 1 to 3 days is menstruation. 1 to 3 days is menstruation again. Now, students who are watching this lecture for the first time, if you're watching this lecture for the first time, sir, you might be getting confused little here and there. You might be. That's very natural. It's very natural to feel a little confused. The only way you're able to feel better and more confident at this concept is that when you watch this lecture again, when this class is over, sit with a notebook and write down the points which I told. Who's going to stop you from learning then? Okay, promise me. You do that later on. Once this class is over, you can sit back again, watch the lecture again, write in the points where I told you FSH, follicle, estrogen, maintain proliferation, LH, corpus luteum, then we have progesterone, maintaining the endometrium. So that is the entire process. That's a learning curve. That's a learning curve which you need to do. It's a learning curve which you need to do from your side. My part is over right now. The teaching, the concept, everything is clear. Your part is learning part now. Okay. Let's read the lines of NCERT now. The major events of menstrual cycle are shown in figure 3.1, which we just decoded. The cycle starts with the menstrual phase when the menstrual flow occurs and it lasts for 3 to 5 days, which we learned. The menstrual flow results due to breakdown of endometrium lining of the uterus. So why is it called menstrual cycle? Because there is breaking of endometrium layer. That's the bleeding phase, right? And it's blood vessels which forms the liquid that comes out through the vagina, right? See, it is coming through vaginal opening, vaginal orifice, not the uterus. Okay. Now, menstruation only occurs if the released ovum is not fertilized. Okay. The lack of menstruation may be indicator of pregnancy. Maybe, this is a very important line. It may be indicator of pregnancy, not 100%. Because there are cases in the case of females where the female has not gotten the periods or the menstrual cycle for 1, 2, 3 months. Now, what could be the reason behind it? Students, this is a very common thing. All the girls watching this is a very common thing. The main causative reason is going to be your diet, food, stress, everything. Everything plays an important role in your body. What you eat, you become, right? So, whatever food you're taking, everything has a hormonal change. So, as if there is even a minute change in hormones, it could lead to a drastic changes in your body. You learned it in chemical coordination. Hormones are released in a small amount, but it has a massive effect on the body, right? So it is a very common thing, may be indicator of pregnancy. However, it may also be caused due to some other underlying causes like stress, poor health, etc. See, stress and poor health. The menstrual phase is followed by the follicular phase. During this phase, the primary follicle in the ovary grow to become a fully mature Graafian follicle. This primary follicle is growing in the embryo stage. In the puberty time, it is only tertiary and Graafian, remember. And simultaneously, the endometrium of uterus regenerates through the proliferation. Endometrium is regenerating because of proliferation. So PCOD disease, yes, it is polycystic. That what happens is there is a complete change in hormones, and there will be skipping of periods. There could be it could also cause increase in weight of the female. Like the female can become much more heavier in nature because there are so many diseases like that, right? Yes, polycystic ovarian disease, right? Now these changes in the ovary and the uterus are induced by changes in the levels of pituitary and ovarian hormones. See, very important. Pituitary hormones and ovarian hormones. You learned that. Pituitary hormones are what? Pituitary hormones are your FSH and LH. Pituitary hormones. Ovarian hormones are estrogen and progesterone. You just now learned how each hormone is influencing the other event. Understand? Right? The secretions of gonadotropins, LH and FSH increases gradually during the follicular phase and stimulates the follicular development as well as secretion of the estrogen by the growing follicle. We learned this, how LH or how FSH is acting on estrogen. We learned that. Both LH and FSH attain a peak in the middle of the cycle, that is 14th day, called as LH surge. The rapid secretion of LH leading to the maximum level during the mid-cycle, called as LH surge, induces the rupturing of Graafian follicle. The Graafian follicle is ruptured now and the ovulation takes place. Which day? 14th day, all of you. 14th day, right? Ovulation. The ovulation, also called as the ovulatory phase, is followed by the luteal phase, during which the remaining parts of Graafian follicle transform into corpus luteum. Now tell me in the chat quickly, corpus luteum is responsible for which hormone? Corpus luteum produces the progesterone. The corpus luteum secretes a large amount of progesterone, which is essential for maintenance of endometrium. Did we learn this point? Yes, we learned this point. Such an endometrium is necessary for implantation of the fertilized ovum and other events of pregnancy. Now, during pregnancy, all events of menstrual cycle stops. Very important. Very important. During pregnancy, all the events of menstrual cycle stops. Why does it stop? Because there is a change in hormones now. There is a change in hormones. Progesterone level is never going down. Progesterone level is always high because it also helps in pregnancy. So as soon as there is a change in hormone levels, even the menstrual cycle stops during pregnancy, right? This causes disintegration of endometrium leading to, one second, menstruation. In the absence of fertilization, the corpus luteum degenerates. No fertilization, no corpus luteum. This causes disintegration of the endometrium leading to menstrual cycle, marking a new cycle again. So in the human beings, the menstrual cycle ceases around 50 years of age. I told you that 50 to 55 years, and we call it menopause. The cyclic menstruation is an indicator of normal reproductive phase and extends between menarche and menopause. It is a complete lifespan. In the lifespan of female it happens. Starting is called as menarche, end is called as menopause. Concept done, NCERT lines done. Beautiful, right? Concept done, NCERT lines also you understood. The only thing which is remaining is question. Solve the question now then. Solve the question, all of you. Solve the question. Your time starts now. Just saying. I'll give you 10 seconds to answer this question. Just 10 seconds. Just 10 seconds to answer this question. Right? Tell me if you understood the menstrual cycle. I want some red hearts in the chat because this is a concept which Many people just teach with the help of lines, but the best way to learn the menstrual cycle is with the help of diagram, and we have done that the best way possible to learn it. Which of the following statements are correct regarding the reproductive cycle? In non-primates, mammals, cyclic changes during the reproduction is called as estrous cycle. It's called as estrous cycle. Yes. Non-primates, cats and dogs, I told you. The first menstrual cycle begins at the puberty is called as menopause. No, it's called as menarche. This is ending. Lack of menstruation may be indicator of pregnancy. Yes, it may be indicator of pregnancy. Maybe. Right, maybe. Right. Now, cyclic menstruation extends between menarche and menopause. Yes. What is the answer? A is correct. A, C, D. Option one, number 1. Can we lock this? Can we lock it, all of you? Yes, A for awesome, Gopika ma'am. Can we lock it? Yes. And this is a NEET 2023 question. Done. Next question. Endometrium is necessary for implantation. Okay. This is an extra question, na? Endometrium is necessary for implantation of blastocyst. Yes, it is important. If there is no proper endometrium, implantation will not happen. Implantation will not happen. Okay. Now, in the absence of fertilization, corpus luteum degenerates, that causes disintegration of endometrium. Tell me, yes or no? Yes. But is there any relation between? Is there any relation between reason and assertion? Is there any relation? Is there any relation? Tell me the answer now. Which one should we lock now? Which one should we lock? Is it 2 or 3? Tell me. Is it 2 or 3 now? Is it B or C? Students, endometrium is necessary for implantation. Okay. Here they are talking about implantation and everything. Implantation topic. Here they are talking about menstrual cycle topic. Menstrual cycle topic. In absence of fertilization, corpus luteum degenerates and that causes disintegration. Think. Think now, again. All of you who said option number B, think again now. See, topics are also different, right, students? The topics are only different. One topic is talking about endometrium is necessary for implantation. Second topic is talking about in absence of fertilization, the corpus luteum degenerates, right? And did all of you wish Captain Sir today? Did all of you wish Captain Sir today is Shreyas's birthday? Just saying, if you don't remember. Okay. Now, next question. Match the items given in the column 1 with column 2 and select the correct option given below. Proliferatory phase, the starting phase. The proliferatory phase is called starting phase, is also called as secondary phase, is also called as menstruation, is also called as. Time starts now. Go. Time starts now. Go. Quickly. The proliferatory phase is also called as what? Here. The first phase is happening here. Follicular phase. Proliferative phase. Proliferation of endometrium. Same time in the above there was development of follicles. So here secretory phase is also called as your luteal phase. C is one. Yes. Done. Easy question, right? Easy question. Obviously it's a very easy question. Obviously it's an easy question, students. Very easy question. Now, identify the correct statement on inhibin. Student, this is a, now you might be wondering, sir, why did you teach about inhibin? It's not even given in NCERT. It is out of NCERT. Out of NCERT. But have they asked you in examination? Yes. NEET 2016 exam. They have asked you about inhibin out of NCERT. So it is my duty to make sure everything you learn. Yes. Right. See here. Is it produced by granulosa cells in the ovary and inhibit the secretion of FSH? Produced by granulosa cells in the ovary and inhibit the secretion of LH? Produced by nurse cells in the testes and inhibit the secretion of LH? This one big no. Big no. Inhibit the secretion of LH, FSH and prolactin? No. Is it option number A or B now? Tell me. Quickly, I want to log the answer now. After log the answer, quickly tell me in the chat, all of you. After log the answer. A, sure. Sure, all of you. Yes, it's option number 1. Exactly. It is produced by granulosa cells, which does the decrease in FSH. Now, if you have been listening to my class, tell me, why is there inhibin? Why is there a requirement to decrease FSH? Tell me. Why should we decrease FSH? Is there a reason for it? Is there a reason for it? Tell me. You will tell. Obviously, because the main reason for decrease in FSH is because the body has found the dominant follicle for the month. It's set. They do not need any more dominant follicle. Easy. The main function of mammalian corpus luteum is to produce AIPMD 2014 question. 2014 question. Quickly. Sertoli cells, see, Sertoli cells also produce inhibin, but that context is different. That context is different. Sertoli cells in the case of males, but right now we're talking about menstrual cycle, which happens in female, right? Which happens in female, right? Sertoli cells produce many enzymes, androgen binding protein, and everything. This is an easy question. B for Basavaraj. Exactly. Option number B. Option number B. Now, with that being said, the chapter for your the topic of menstrual cycle is over. Done and dusted. Done and dusted. Now, can we start with the next topic now? Can we start with the next topic? The next topic is going to be fertilization and implantation. Very easy, students. If you have understood the chapter till now, the next part is going to be smooth. The next part is going to be very smooth. Smooth journey we have. Okay. We have a very smooth journey. So if you're new to the channel, if you started watching the lecture right now, please smash the like button. It's very important for the YouTube algorithm, not for me, for the YouTube algorithm. For the YouTube algorithm. So do that. And we will get going with the next concept now. Can we start, all of you? Ready? Any doubt? Quickly tell me in the chat. Any doubt till now? In the menstrual cycle? I believe there should be no doubt. There should be no doubt, right? No. If you remember, when I was teaching you about fallopian tube, I asked a question, I told you a point there, which part of fallopian tube, the fertilization takes place? How many of you remember? Which part of fallopian tube where the fertilization event takes place? Fertilization event. Quickly in the chat. Now, during copulation, also called as coitus or intercourse or sex, anything, same thing, same meaning. During copulation, the semen is released by the penis into the vagina. That is called as insemination in the terms of scientific. Insemination. Okay? It's called as insemination. The motile sperms swim rapidly and pass through the cervix, cervical canal, and enter the uterus and finally reach the ampullary region of the fallopian tube. And it is the same ampullary region where the fertilization takes place. Old NCERT, ampullary isthmus junction, but right now, new NCERT, it is going to be ampullary region or ampulla. The ovum released by the ovary is also transported to the ampullary region where fertilization takes place. Done. Also, can you, any of you remind me, how is the ovum moving? How is the secondary oocyte going? It is swimming in water. Is it walking? Is it running? Or is it moving with the help of ciliated columnar epithelium cells? Tell me, how is it moving? How is it moving? In the chat. Fertilization can only occur if the ovum and the sperm are transported simultaneously. The meaning of simultaneously is that at the same time. Same time to the ampullary region. This is the reason why not all copulation lead to the fertilization and pregnancy, because sometimes what happens, sperm is there, ovum is not there. Sometimes ovum is there, there is no sperm. Okay. So that is the main reason. Exactly, cilia. Cilia, nice, cilia. Now, students, do you want to learn concept now? Do you want to learn the concept that how polyspermy is prevented? That's right. How polyspermy is prevented in the case of fertilization. The meaning of polyspermy is that many sperm fertilization. In the case of your fertilization here, many sperm does not go. Only one sperm, this side, only one sperm fertilizes the ovum. How? How is it happening? How is it happening? That we will learn now. That we will learn now. Okay. All of you write on this. Extra information, separate book, open your book and write this down. Okay. Now students, this is the ovum. This is the ovum. Okay. This is the ovum. There are many layers around it, many layers. Okay. First of all, for example, this is plasma membrane. Yes. Plasma membrane is there. Then there is a zona pellucida layer. Then there is one second, let me draw it properly. Okay. Now students, there are multiple layers here, multiple layers. For example, the outermost layer is called as corona radiata, which is outside. Corona radiata, right? Radiata. Then there is zona pellucida layer here. I'll write ZP, so all of you can remember. Zona pellucida layer. Then there is plasma membrane. Then there is plasma membrane. Okay. Then there is plasma membrane. Plasma membrane. Okay. There are multiple layers here. There are multiple layers here. Okay. Now, when the sperm is coming here, let's draw the tail better. Okay. The sperm is coming in contact. Now, before fertilization, there are actually many types of reactions happening, which is not given you in NCERT, which I'll also not teach. If I teach you all those reactions, your mind might blow, or they will not ask you an examination also. But I'll tell you a small here and there few points, so you can understand the concept in a much more detailed manner. Okay. For example, when the sperm is entering near the sperm, in the female reproductive tract, there is a process called as capacitation. The process is called as capacitation. Okay. Now, capacitation is nothing but activation of sperm. It is like second evolution. The sperm is getting more motility, it's getting more vigorous, it is becoming, right? Capacitation is happening. Along with capacitation, there is a lot of acrosomal reactions. Okay. Acrosomal reactions are happening. Now, I will not teach you acrosomal reactions, because if I have to teach you acrosomal reaction, I have to teach you how zona pellucida layer is degrading, how corona radiata is decreasing. Do you want me to tell that? If yes, I'll tell that. It's not an issue, but it will simply not ask you an examination. Okay, because corona radiata is actually broken by something called as CPE. CPE. That is nothing but your corona penetrating enzyme. Corona penetrating enzyme. Because with the help of corona penetrating enzyme, corona radiator layer is broken down. All that is present here in the cap-like structure. Okay, cap-like structure. This enzyme is gone. Then zona pellucida. The zona pellucida layer is also removed by something called as acrosin. This layer is broken by something called as acrosin. With the help of acrosin, this layer is also gone. This layer is also gone. Okay, this layer is also gone. Now, then we have plasma membrane. Then we have the plasma membrane. Listen to me very carefully, all of you. Listen to me very carefully. Then there is plasma membrane. There is something called as anti-fertilizing and fertilizing. Understand, concept understand. Concept you should understand. In the head of the sperm, there is something called as anti-fertilizing. And on the layer here, there is something called as fertilizing. In a simple way I have to explain, if the simple way I have to explain is that anti-fertilizing and fertilizing are lock and key. Simple way, lock and key. As soon as sperm comes in contact with the plasma membrane, as soon as the sperm comes in contact with the plasma membrane, there is formation of some cone here. Can you see? There is a formation of cone here. It's called as fertilization cone. It is called as fertilization cone. Fertilization cone. With the formation of fertilization cone, once, I think it's not seen, right? This is not seen only. Stupid purple color. Red will do, red. There is formation of fertilization cone. This is your fertilization cone. Fertilization cone. Once there is formation of fertilization cone, there will be opening of many channels here, like sodium channels. Many sodium channels will open. Many sodium channels will open. Can I say Na plus channels are opening? Na plus channels are opening. Once the Na plus channel opens, completely, the plasma membrane, this right here, the plasma membrane here, right here, the plasma membrane gets depolarized. Depolarized. The plasma membrane gets depolarized. And this is called as fast reaction. It's your fast reaction or the immediate reaction. Immediate reaction. That is depolarization of plasma membrane. All of you following. Concept is concept. NCERT will not tell you this extra concept. There is what? Depolarization of plasma membrane. Now, once the plasma membrane gets depolarized, no more sperm can enter. As soon as one sperm is entering inside, the nuclei has been sent inside. Plasma membrane gets depolarized, no more sperm can enter. No more sperm can enter inside now. No more sperm can enter. No more sperm can enter at all. This is fast reaction. This is called as fast reaction. There is something called as permanent reaction also. Later it happens. That is also called as cortical reaction or cortical reaction. That is happening later on. Okay. Or acrosomal reaction. Cortical reaction is happening later on. There is formation of cortical canals. There will be formation of cortical layer here. Cortical layer. That you don't worry. That you don't worry. Just learn this much. Just learn this much. Did all of you learn? Did all of you understand what is happening here? There are many layers here. For example, corona radiata is removed by corona penetrating enzyme. Zona pellucida is removed by acrosin. There is hyaluronic acid also is there. That also is removed. One more thing is there. Then there is a depolarization of plasma membrane. Depolarization of plasma membrane because of opening of sodium channels. There is capacitation is happening here. Capacitation is happening here. And once the depolarization happens, no more sperm can enter inside. No more sperm can enter inside. Beautiful concept, right? Such an intricate manner it is designed. Such a beautiful way it is designed, students. Beautiful way it is designed. You all of you understand? Sir, but would polyspermy happen? Yes, there are chances. Yes, there are chances of polyspermy happening. Yes, there are chances. See, students, in science, there are always exceptions. In science, there are always exceptions are there. And students, if you are watching this lecture for the first time, this might be a little confusing. So please watch it again. I'm repeating. When I'm teaching some higher concept, I want you to repeat one more time, listen one more time, understand one more time, until it's stuck in your mind, the concept you never forget. Don't by heart any of this. Don't by heart any of this. If you by heart, there is a very chance it will go away. Visualize it. Yes, zona pellucida layer is there. It's broken down by acrosin. Everything is coming. It's happening. Okay. Done. Topic is done. See here, students. See here. The process of fusion of sperm with the ovum is called as fertilization. Also called as syngamy. Right? Syngamy, or there's something called as fusion of nuclei. Fusion of nuclei is called as amphimixis also. Fusion of nuclei. Amphimixis. Yes, twins. Twins is one of the case. Twins is one of the case of that will happen. Right? During fertilization, a sperm comes in contact with the zona pellucida layer of the ovum and induces the change in the membrane. See, can you see here? Induces a change in the membrane. What is the change in membrane, students? What is the change in membrane? The change in the membrane here is depolarization of the membrane because of sodium channels. Because of sodium channels, depolarization of the membrane. NCERT is mentioning the line, but it is not explaining you. Not explaining you. Okay. Ravindran is asking, sir, how can twins and iron? I'll make a short on it. Ravindrani, I'll make a short on it, how twins occur. There are two ways in which twins can occur. Both the process I'll explain in a short. Okay, that is a very interesting thing. It is a very interesting thing. Okay, this is a depolarization plasma membrane that blocks the entry of additional sperm, that is blocking polyspermy. Thus, it ensures that only one sperm can fuse with the fertilize an ovum. The secretions of the acrosome, we learned right now, acrosomal reactions, acrosin, as well as your penetrating enzyme, coronary penetrating enzyme, helps in sperm entering into the cytoplasm of the ovum. See, entering into the cytoplasm of the ovum. Once it enters the cytoplasm, there is a fusion of nuclei through the zona pellucid layer and the plasma membrane. This induces, see, I have told you in the oogenesis, once the sperm comes in contact with the egg, the meiosis 2 is over. Meiosis 2 is finally completed. Oogenesis, I told you. Once the final meiosis 2 is completed, it will result in the production of egg or ootid, as well as the second polar body. In the previous class we learned it. Right? We learned it. It's given here. This induces the completion of meiotic division of the secondary oocyte. I told you, the secondary oocyte starts meiosis 2, but it gets arrested at your meiosis 2 at metaphase. Metaphase 2. Right? The secondary meiotic division is also unequal, results in the formation of second polar body and a haploid ovum or ootid. Soon the haploid nucleus of sperm and that of ovum fuse together to form zygote, and this is called as amphimixis. Fusion of nuclei is called as amphimixis. That is fusion of fusion of nucleus. Clear? That results in the formation of zygote. Done. How many chromosomes will be there in zygote? Zygote is diploid in nature, so you tell me. Zygote is diploid in nature. Students, are you understanding how oogenesis, which started somewhere else, they are finishing the oogenesis right here. Oogenesis is completed right here, which started there somewhere there. Okay. Nice. This is sex determination. It's very easy. I'm going to skip this. Sex determination is very easy. I don't think this requires much of teaching. This is very easy, right? Very easy. We'll skip this one. That is basically telling you, sir, what is haploid and what is diploid? Can someone tell Muralidharan, right? Muralidharan, what is haploid and diploid quickly? Haploid, what is haploid, what is diploid? That is the number of chromosomes. Now, the meiotic division starts, now mitotic now. Now, this zygote, the zygote right here, which is diploid in nature, the zygote right here, which is diploid in nature, will start to undergo mitosis now. And the zygote will start to undergo mitosis and will start dividing. 2 cell stage, 4 cell stage, 8 cell staged. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 cell stage. 2 cell, 4 cell, 8 cell stage. This division of zygote, that is zygote undergoing mitosis. Zygote undergoing mitosis is called as cleavage. That's it. It's called as cleavage. See here. Moves through the isthmus of the oviduct and called as cleavage towards the uterus. Now, if you remember in the fallopian tube, the fertilization happened in the ampulla region. Right? Ampulla region. Now the zygote is moving. Towards the uterus. This is the uterus, right? Moving towards the uterus now. Clear? Now, and forms 2, 4, 8 daughter cells called as blastomeres. Now listen to me very carefully. I told you here, 2 cell stage, 4 cell stage, 8 cells. The cells which I'm talking here, then other name for that cells is called as blastomere. The cells inside are called as blastomere. The cells inside are called as blastomeres. So 2 blastomere, 4 blastomeres, 8 blastomeres. 8 blastomeres they are called as. 8 blastomeres. Okay, blastomeres. Now, and there will be one embryo. This is embryo formation. This is embryo formation. There will be an embryo with 8 to 16 cells. That is 8 to 16 blastomeres. If there is an embryo with 8 to 16 blastomere, that is called as morula. That is called as morula. Right here. Can you see? Morula. That is 8 to 16 cell stage. Called as morula. Clear? Called as morula. See, fertilization, 2-celled, 4-celled, 8 to 16 cell is called as morula. Here, what is happening here? Ovulation is happening, egg is released, fertilization in the ampulla region. Fertilization is happening here. 2-celled, 4-celled, 16-celled. It's coming down the uterus now. It's coming down the uterus. The embryo is coming down the uterus now. It's coming down. Here, it's coming down the uterus lining. Okay, morula is here. Now, listen to me very carefully. Listen to me very carefully now. Listen to me very carefully. Now there is morula is there. You have the morula. Right. Now this was the structure of. This is the structure of the embryo. Let's call it blastocyst. No. Diagram only is here. What should I write again? See the morula. Now later on, the morula gets converted to blastocyst. Gets converted to blastocyst. Now this blastocyst right here has a special structure. A blastocyst has a very special structure. Now inside the morula we have cells. Now tell me, what is the cells called as? What do we call the cells? The inside, what we have the cells here inside, what do you call them? What do you call them? The cells inside the morula or the blastocyst, the cells is called as blastomeres. Yeah, it's called as blastomeres. Now here there is a very weird way of arranging the blastomeres. Very weird way of arranging blastomeres. That is, all the blastomeres are arranged at one corner here. All the blastomeres are arranged in one corner here. Inside the blastocyst. Inside the blastocyst, all the blastomeres are arranged in towards one corner like this, one corner. This one corner is called as inner cell mass. Inner cell mass. Okay. Or all the blastomeres are on the periphery. They're either on the periphery or towards one side. They're all the way to the periphery or towards one side. Do you see this? To the periphery. The periphery one is called as trophoblasts. Trophoblast. It's called as what? Trophoblast. Trophoblast cells. Trophoblast cells. Trophoblast cells. Any doubt here? Quickly ask me. Any doubt here? Quickly ask me. Inner cell mass and trophoblast. What are this trophoblast, inner cell mass? That is the arrangement of blastomeres inside the blastocyst. Inside the blastocyst. Done. Now, eventually, this inner cell mass gets converted to embryo. This is actually the formation of embryo, not here actually. Not here actually. Okay. Embryo formation happens this year. It's happening here somewhere. It's happening here somewhere. Okay. Develops into embryo. And this trophoblast cell along with chorionic villi, uterine tissues, as well as blood vessels, this gets converted to placenta. Placenta, embryo. Any doubt here? Quickly ask me. Any doubt here? Quickly ask me. Embryo and placenta. Okay. We will read this line again. I'll teach you. Okay. Now here, I'll ask you one question, students. I'll ask you one question. We learned about mitosis here. Mitosis. Now, if I tell you, the mitosis which is happening here and the mitosis which happens in the somatic cells, normal somatic cells, is completely different. This mitosis and other mitosis are completely different. They're not same at all. That is, in normal mitosis, students, in normal mitosis, what do we have? We have G1 stage, we have S stage and G2 stage in normal mitosis. In normal mitosis, there is G1, S and G2 phase. But in this mitosis right here, there is complete absence of G1 and G2 right here. Did all of you understand? In normal mitosis, there is G1, S, G2. But in this mitosis right here, that is zygote developing into multiple structures, there is no G1 and there is no G2 phase. No G1 and G2 phase. Not there. Not there. If G1 and G2 are completely absent, it means that thus there is no increase of cytoplasm. There is no increase of cytoplasm. There is no development of cytoplasm at all. But there is only increase of genetic material. Is this point clear to all of you? Since there is no G1 and there is no G2, growth 1 and growth 2, only S phase in which there is DNA duplication is happening. There is only increase. There is only increase in the genetic material. Can you see the cell is not increasing here? The cell right here is not increasing. The cell size will remain the same. Usually the cell size increases. Right? So here, in this case right here, it's a phenomena. It is a phenomena which is happening here. There is no increase in the cytoplasm here. No increase in cytoplasm. There is only and only increase of genetic material. That you should remember. Extra point. If the cytoplasm also decrease, there would become a big mass. If there was an increase in cytoplasm, technically this cell will have to divide completely and the cell mass will become bigger and bigger. So it is so special. This mitosis is so special that there is no increase in cytoplasm here. There is only and only increase of genetic material. Beautiful, right? Like how even in the simple humans, there are such an intricate things are happening to make sure that all this is because of evolution. All this is because of evolution, right? Only increase in genetic material. That is DNA. Now, students. Now, the blastomeres is called as morula. That is 8 to 16 cell stage. 8 to 16 cell stage is called as morula. The morula continues to divide and transform into blastocyst. So morula is becoming what? Morula is becoming blastocyst now. Okay. As it is moving further into the uterus, the blastomeres in the blastocyst are arranged in a outer layer called as trophoblast. The periphery one is called as trophoblast, and the inner group of cells is called as inner cell mass. We did it right here. Our inner cell mass on one side, periphery is called as trophoblast. Periphery is called as trophoblast. Okay. The trophoblast layer then gets attached. See, trophoblast layer is getting attached to the endometrium layer. Attached to the endometrium layer, and the inner cell mass gets differentiated as embryo. Did we write this point? I told you the inner cell mass gets developed into embryo, and the trophoblast cells get attached to the endometrium layer right here. Trophoblast cells get attached to the endometrium layer. Trophoblast cells. Now, after attachment, the uterine cells divide rapidly. The uterine cells right here. The uterine cells right here divide rapidly. They'll divide rapidly here. They'll divide rapidly and cover the blastocyst. They're completely covering, engulfing the blastocyst. As a result, the blastocyst becomes embedded in the endometrium of uterus, and this is called as implantation. It is called as implantation, which later becomes relates to pregnancy. You understand? Here, right here, trophoblast cells. Can you see here, right here? The trophoblast cells is getting attached to the uterine tissue, and the uterine tissue right here, divides rapidly and completely encloses the inner cell mass and trophoblast cells. The entire blastocyst is enclosed inside the uterine tissue, and that is called as implantation. That is called as implantation. Nice. Now, after implantation, very important, after implantation, there's a finger-like projections appearing on the trophoblast cells. See, blastocyst, outer layer is called as what? This is called as trophoblast. Outer layer is called as trophoblast here, right here. Trophoblast. Trophoblast. On top of this photoblast, there's a finger-like projections. The finger-like projections on the trophoblast is called as chorionic villi. Here, the finger-like projections is called as chorionic villi. Chorionic villi. Where are they arising? Chorionic villi are arising on trophoblast. Trophoblast. So what happens if uterine is not divided, sir? So uterine, why will uterine tissue divide? Why will the uterine tissue divide? Tell me in the chat. If the uterine tissue does not divide, what will happen? Uterine tissue is divided into outer perimetrium, middle myometrium, inner endometrium. If the endometrium is not there, implantation will not happen. Simple. Your question is, if uterine tissue is not divided into perimetrium, myometrium, endometrium, if the endometrium is not developed, if there is no progesterone, then there is no implantation. Endometrium is very important. Okay. Now, which are surrounded by uterine tissue. So, chorionic villi is arising on trophoblast cells, which is surrounded by uterine tissue and maternal blood. So, let me write down, students. Let me write down. We have the chorionic villi. Chorionic villi, which is part of trophoblast. Trophoblast plus the uterine tissue plus the uterine tissue plus maternal blood together they form the placenta. Together they form the placenta. Together they form the placenta. They form the placenta. Done? Clear? Is this clear to all of you? Tell me in the chat now. That is, which are surrounded by uterine tissue and maternal blood. The chorionic villi, this one right here, the finger-like structures. Imagine, this is the chorionic villi. This is the chorionic villi. This is uterine tissue. Chorionic villi and uterine tissue gets interdigitated. The chorionic villi and uterine tissue, they become interdigitated, which results in the formation of placenta. Placenta. See here. Uterine tissue become interdigitated with each other and jointly form the structural and functional unit between the developing embryo, that is fetus, and the maternal body, that is the placenta. That is the placenta. That is the formation of placenta. Understood how the placenta is formed? All of these are requirements of placenta formation. Uterine tissue and chorionic villi, they get completely interdigitated, which results in the formation of placenta. Done? Okay. The placenta facilitates the see, obviously if the baby is growing, it requires food. Okay. The baby requires oxygen. Okay. The baby will release CO2. Yes. The baby will release the waste. Yes. All of these processes, intake of oxygen, release of CO2, intake of food, release of excretory waste, all that of this is mediated with the help of placenta. That is the function of placenta. Right? Placenta facilitates the supply of oxygen, done, and nutrition to the embryo, and removal of carbon dioxide and excretory waste material produced by the embryo. The placenta is connected to the embryo. Placenta and embryo connection through the umbilical cord. That is like a bridge. Umbilical cord is the bridge. Okay, is the bridge, which helps in transport of substances to and from the embryo. See, here they have mentioned embryo. Eventually, it's going to be the baby, obviously. Right now, they are given embryo. Later, it's going to be the baby. Right? The fetus. The placenta, this is very important. NEET PYQ alert. NEET PYQ alert right here. The placenta also act as a endocrine tissue. It is also acting like endocrine tissue. What is the meaning of endocrine tissue? It is the tissue which produces hormones now. That's right. The other function of placenta is to produce hormones. And produce several hormones like human chorionic gonadotropin, HCG, human placental lactogen, which all of these hormones help in pregnancy, estrogen, progesterone, etc. In the later phase of pregnancy, a hormone called as relaxin for relaxation is also secreted by the ovaries. It is released by the ovaries. Remember, relaxin by ovaries during pregnancy. Relaxin. Done? Yes. You might be asking, sir, what is gonadotropin, what is chorionic? All that you will learn in chemical coordination in much more detailed manner. Right now, please remember that this line right here. They will ask you a question. Which are the hormones which are released only during pregnancy? Direct question. Which are the hormones which are produced only during pregnancy? They will ask you a question directly. So what is the answer? The hormones which are produced only during pregnancy is nothing but your HCG, HPL and relaxin. NEET PYQ right here. Relaxin are produced in the woman only during pregnancy. In addition, during pregnancy, the levels of other hormones also increase. That is estrogen, progesterone, cortisol, prolactin, thyroxine, etc. Everything increases. That's what they say, right? Pregnant woman has morning sickness, complete mood swings, sudden cravings, all that sudden cravings of eating, pickles and everything, morning sickness, all of that is because of the change in hormones. Clear? So all of you will remember this, right? Promise 3 hormones right here for your PYQs. Okay, are increased several folds in the maternal blood. Again, PYQ. That is, increased production of these hormones is essential for supporting the fetal growth. That is why the hormones are important. Because it supports the fetal growth. Metabolic changes in the mother and maintenance of pregnancy. See, all these hormones is important for what? Fetal growth, metabolic reactions, as well as maintenance of pregnancy. If there are no hormones, it's going to be very difficult. Hormones are going to be the most important. So immediately after implantation, immediately after implantation, the inner cell mass is differentiated. Okay, this is a separate paragraph. I think there is a mix and match on small paragraphs. We will learn this. Sir, why only during pregnancy mood swings change? Answer is right here. Can you see this? All these hormones, see, estrogen and progesterone are produced normally inside the female body. They are produced normally. But during pregnancy, what happens? Are increased several folds in the maternal blood. That is, imagine if there was, for example, 10 picoliter, very I don't know how many ml, I don't remember the normal ml, but it was very small quantity in normal levels. But during pregnancy, it has increased at least around, for example, around 2 times or 5 times increase in level of hormones. Obviously, there will be mood swings, right? Mood swings will be there. So, what is the role of oxytocin? We are getting to it. The main role of oxytocin is towards the end, during parturition. I'll tell you that. Okay, done? Now, the differentiation of your embryo, how the embryo differentiates during embryo. So, during menstruation also, yes, didn't you see during menstruation, wasn't there increase of estrogen, wasn't there increase of progesterone, there's a decrease in estrogen, increase in LH, increase and decrease in FSH, change in hormones, change in moods. So keep hormones happy, the mood will be happy. Okay, that is the trick. Clear, all of you? All of you understand? The main reason for mood swings is because of the increase in level of hormones or decrease in level of hormones. So this you will learn in more in the animal tissue chapter. Here this very briefly it is given here. The entire embryo divides into 3 layers. The outer layer is called as ectoderm, middle layer is called as mesoderm, inner layer is called as endoderm. Inner layer endoderm and middle layer is called as mesoderm. soon appears between the ectoderm and endoderm. These three layers give rise to all tissues or organs. Basically, they're telling you here is development of embryo. How embryo is developing into different organs. Like ectoderm is developing into one organs, mesoderm is developing into different organs, endoderm is developing into different organs of the body, ear, heart, lungs, kidney, everything. Okay, that you learn more detail in animal tissue chapter, not here. Okay, it needs to be mentioned that here the inner cell mass contains certain cells called as stem cells, which have potency to give rise to all tissues and organs. Stem cells are present inside the embryo. So right now what is happening during the development of embryo, there is collection of stem cells. Yes, they are doing that. When the fetus is developing, the parents itself themselves are collecting some of the stem cells which will help in the later stages. Okay. Now this is a very important table here. Very important paragraph. Here they are telling what is happening in how the fetus is developing. What is happening every month? What is happening every month? It is given right here. What happens in this month? What happens this month? Everything is given here. Okay. See here. For example, it says that the human pregnancy lasts for 9 months. Okay. Done. After 1 month of pregnancy, the embryo's heart is formed. They can ask you. All of it, let me answer now. When is the heart formed? Answer in the chat. Answer is right here. After the first month fertilization. They can also ask you, the first sign of growing fetus may be noticed by the listening to the heart sound carefully through the stethoscope. Okay. By the end of second month, also a question. Second month, the pregnancy, the fetus develops limbs and digits. That is limbs and fingers. Second month, limbs and digits. Now tell me the answer. Limbs and digits are developed when? They'll ask you a question directly. When are limbs are developed? Directly. Second month. End of second month. Okay. End of second month. By the end of 12 weeks, the first trimester, major organ systems are formed. For example, limbs and external genitalia, when? By the first trimester. By the first trimester. As well as the developed. The fetal, the first movement, they say, right, the kick of the baby. They say, right, the kick of the baby is kicking, feel the kick, they say. It's playing football in the body. The football in the body. Where is it playing the football? The first movement of the fetus and appearance of the head usually observed in the 5th month. Tell me in the chat now. When is the first movement of the body done? At the 5th month. First major movement, 5th month. Students, I want you to write this. See, why am I making you write it? I want you to separately write in your book. First month, second month, first trimester, 5th month. What is happening? Okay. By the end of about 24 weeks, at the end of second trimester, end of second trimester, body is covered with fine hair. Body is covered by fine hair because it is a primate, obviously. Eyelids separate and eyelashes are formed. Nice. At the end of 9 months, the fetus is fully developed and ready for delivery and packaging and everything, and it is coming out. Baby is ready. Take it and go home. Okay. So students, every single month is very important. There is not much I can teach you here. The only thing which I can tell you here is write down every month what is happening, because it is a question. It is a question. Now students, can we do the last part of the chapter now? Last part of the chapter. Parturition. How is the baby delivered? How is the delivery happening? Last part of the chapter now. Can we do that? Show some energy in the chat, because continuously I'm giving you information without any break, nothing. Right? Nothing I'm giving you. Every single moment I'm telling you, every single point you're understanding with me. Right? So quickly fire in the chat, and also let me know in the comment section of today's video, how was today's class? Are you understanding? And and the next chapter which I want to do is very important for me also. The next chapter which I want to do is biomolecules. So if you want biomolecules as the next chapter, because I know many students think that biomolecules is a very difficult chapter, which I want to make it easy for all of you. It's my duty to make you easy chapters easy, right? So I'll make the biomolecules also easy for you. Don't worry. Okay. The average duration of human pregnancy is about 9 months. All of you know that. It's called as gestation period. So 9 months is called as gestation period. Time of fertilization to deliver the baby. The vigorous contraction of the uterus at the end of pregnancy is called as the expulsion of deliver the baby. This process of delivery is called as parturition. So what is parturition? Parturition is nothing but delivery of the baby. Delivery of the baby is called as parturition. Okay, parturition. Parturition is induced by complex neuroendocrine mechanism, which is very important, I'll tell you. Complex neuroendocrine mechanism. That is, there is a signal from the pituitary gland, signal from the uterus. All of them are in one connection. For example, listen to me very carefully. The signal for parturition originates from the fully developed fetus. They'll ask you a question. How is the signal originating? Where is it originating from? Where is the signal originating from? The signal for parturition. Who's telling? The baby is telling. The baby is like, my time is up. I do not want to be inside. I already want to come out in the world. The baby is chilling inside. Time is up. I want to come out now. The first signal is given by the fetus as well as the placenta. Developing fetus and placenta, which induces the mild uterine contraction called as fetal ejection reflex. Fetal ejection reflex is nothing but baby is telling, please let me out of here. Please let me out of here. That is called as fetal ejection reflex, right? Now this triggers, when the first reaction is happening, it is triggering some hormones. That is the release of oxytocin from the maternal pituitary. Now tell me, oxytocin is released from posterior or anterior pituitary? Chemical coordination, you should tell me now. Okay. From posterior pituitary, when the oxytocin is released, oxytocin acts on the uterine tissues and causes stronger contraction. So what is happening is, first there is a signal coming in from the fetus. When the signal comes, there is contraction. Once there is contraction, brain is releasing more oxytocin. If there is more oxytocin, more contraction. More contraction, more oxytocin. More oxytocin, more contraction. That is called as neuroendocrine mechanism. Understanding? First contraction, more oxytocin. More oxytocin, more contraction. More contraction, more oxytocin. It is happening until there's enough of contraction for the baby to slip out. Okay. This stimulatory reflex between the uterine contraction and oxytocin secretion continues, resulting in stronger and stronger contraction. This leads to the expulsion of the baby out of the uterus through the birth canal, that is vagina plus cervical canal. Birth canal called as parturition. Soon after the implant is delivered, placenta is also expelled out of the uterus. Placenta also is released outside. Placenta is also released outside. Done. Okay. The mammary glands of the female undergoes differentiation during the pregnancy and starts producing milk towards the end of pregnancy, called as the lactation. Lactation is what? Lactation is production of milk. Differentiation of mammary glands is happening twice in the females. First time it is happening during puberty. Second time is happening during parturition. This helps in mother to feed the newborn born. The milk produced during the initial few days of lactation is called as colostrum. Colostrum is very rich in antibodies. That is IgA, which contains several antibodies like IgA. Absolutely essential for developing resistance for the newborn babies. So it is recommended by doctors. It is recommended by doctors to make sure the baby is fed, milk fed in the starting. Because once the baby is out, so many diseases around, right? So many diseases around. To make sure the baby builds an immunity, breast milk is the best one. That is colostrum, right? Absolutely essential for the development resistance of newborn babies. Breastfeeding during the initial period of infant growth is recommended by the doctors for bringing up the healthy baby.